That's how we even got started on it.
All right, guys. Welcome to Stray Logic, the podcast that has its main focus on random thoughts, individual perception, and hearsay. Pull up a chair, some coffee, maybe a shot or two, and enjoy the ride. For today's episode, we have Ryu,
What's going on, everybody?
Mr. Quiet, Mr. AK Conspiracy Number 1. We have Rooster,
Hello.
who is Asian, according to but in the
But did you die?
Yeah, in the non-racist way, and that was a joke in regarding to how they drive, I assume.
Yeah, I guess so. In their ice creams.
Oh boy. Anyway,
I mean,
anyway.
it's a Team America reference, right?
Yeah. America, fuck yeah. So today's episode is a play on this is number 2. This is a specialty.
Part dose.
And number 1, we kind of, our podcast is built for random tangents, random ideas. The idea is that once we get going, we want it to be authentic and just keep it flowing. But if you're tuning in for the first time, and there's a lot of new subscribers and listens lately, if you're tuning in for the first time, basically our job is to have intelligent discussion about things that are happening or educate you guys on things that we find that are happening. So MK Ultra, in the first episode, we kind of went over what it was and the premise of it, but we didn't really go into depth on like why it's evil. I think that's what we really missed in our first episode, and that's what we wanted to cover today. So Ryu did some digging, and he found some stuff that he might disappear. So this might be his final episode.
But ass shit.
Yeah, and we accepted that a long time ago when we did this, that either of them would disappear.
I accepted that fate years ago.
Yeah,
It's like,
just remember.
It's bound to happen at some point.
Yeah,
So,
if it happens, maybe they'll use you in the sex trafficking ring.
fuck it. It'll prove me right.
Yeah, he'd be like, man, I really need it. Can you guys just get me? Get me in front of a mic. I need one right
Or
now.
at least give me my own personal validation.
Yeah. Wow, I was right. This is terrible. This is awful.
Yeah.
I really wish I wasn't right on
This
this.
is how I'm going down. All right.
But so today we're gonna talk a little bit about it. Where are you starting at? What do we got right now? You
Okay,
said
so
you had
I'm-
17.
Yeah, I'm on a website. So I found an article that was written in 2016, and it is from a website called The Activist Post. I didn't do much digging on the post or the source itself, so I'm going to just take it at face value, but this seemed to be pretty interesting because it had a nice link to a declassified document from MKUltra. So we're going to start there. There's 17 things on this list, and so remind me, bring that up, why that's significant at the end of this episode.
Oh, I will.
I'll definitely keep on that one.
Yeah. So again, I mean, there's things that I run into when this. Again, let's talk about who you guys are. You guys are the conspiracy guys. I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no debating that. It's just
Yeah,
a
you
reality.
don't even know like a lot of the stuff that we talk
That
about.
we bring up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like,
kinda
I've never heard
clueless
of
to
it.
yeah.
And I won't even let them tell me about it. And the reason is because I want you guys to be. I want my reactions to things to be real.
Authentic,
Yeah.
That's really what we want is authenticity in the world. So
Yeah.
let's bring it on here, you know.
So we're actually looking for more natural reactions and talking. So I don't want, because I can debate something, I could write it down and find conflicting facts, but
Yeah.
based on the information you give me, I'd like to have an honest reaction. So they keep trying to tell me about all this stuff that I have know nothing about. So I'm not conspiracy guy. I am a 9 to 5, work my butt off, more like a 9 to 9 type of guy. Work my butt off and just do my thing. You know, I don't really have time to put into researching this. I never did. Like I guess I was a blue collar. Never really had a chance to like to research this stuff or even look into it or even care enough. You know, I more just followed the I don't say modern news, but like the off kilter news. So my sources were, I trusted my sources to give me the news and not opinion. So I think it kept me pretty rounded. So the stuff you guys are telling me seems a little far fetched just because it's not something that I'm used to hearing.
Right.
But at the same point in time, I mean, you're looking at unclassified documents. So I mean that adds a level of truth. Yeah, I mean, you know, so
Alleged truth.
alleged truth. Yeah, I guess for declassified information, alleged truth.
Yeah.
So let's hear it. Let's hear number 1, and you guys we'll get through 17 today and some other stuff too.
Yeah. Some of them, you know, we'll kind of get through the list relatively quick, but some are going to spark that fire. It's going to be like, what the fuck?
And then we're gonna roll.
Yeah. So.
Oh, and by the way,
There's
we in this last week we got 10 new subscribers. Thank you for subscribing.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, we're
fire,
excited.
This channel's kind of catching fire, and I'm really enjoying it. So
Yeah, 10 new subscribers, and that's just on our
Castbox.
Castbox, but we actually have probably 100 more listens in the last week, and so on. So again, if you're tuning in for the first time, or if this is your 15th time tuning in, we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and check out the YouTube channel as
Yep,
well.
YouTube channel, and we have a Facebook page. So
I don't want to go through and take the time to read this whole article because it is a little bit lengthy, but I encourage you to look it up. It's activistpost.com, and it's on MK Ultra. But basically, this document that was declassified, they are talking about the different substances that they were trying to investigate and study and see what happened in the human body.
and the last one you told me is like LSD.
That's the most prominent one. That's the most well-known one because it had basically the exact opposite effect of what they wanted. They
Okay.
were looking for mind control, and it ended up being mind expansion.
Okay.
So, and that's what most psychedelics are for most people who don't know.
I don't think anybody's arguing with you there.
No.
All right, so let's hear the first, like, just in
Okay,
general then.
so
Sorry.
list starts with number one: substances which will promote illogical thinking and impulsiveness to the point where the recipient would be discredited in public.
Ooh.
So, like, meth?
So, like any substance that would fit that bill.
Okay,
They
so
were willing to
discredited
test for it.
discredited in public. So they want people.
They wanted to act irrationally in a public manner so that if any time that person
He's
came out with any
questioned.
kind of truth,
He's
Bam,
on
they could
drugs.
drop
their
him. Yeah.
behavior would become questionable. A lot of modern celebrities
Seems
come to
crazy.
mind.
Dude, all the
So,
celebrities.
Yeah, Britney Spears.
But she didn't come forward with anything, did she? She just lost her damn mind.
No, but maybe she tried.
Yeah, because
I
she
don't
really
know.
did lose her,
You
her
know,
damn
she
mind.
did. And
Miley
and she,
Cyrus.
props to her because allegedly now she's doing pretty well and has kind of
Yeah.
come back and she's being a standout
The
mom and
Corys.
shit. So
Yeah.
Macaulay Culkin. Like I'm trying to think, like
Macaulay
who looks.
Culkin.
Culkin, whatever, bro.
Say it like
Yeah.
Hogan, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, well, he lost his damn mind too.
How you gonna
so-
do, brother?
But yeah, so
It's fucking
bizarre
funny.
behavior that they would be looking
Who else
for
do
a
you think of?
substance to do
Like,
that,
Well, like he was saying last podcast, it was Chris Cornell, right? That's who you were
Yes.
looking for. Chris Cornell
Yes.
and Chester Bennington in Linkin Park.
They both. Yeah, but they weren't child actors, were they?
No,
but
they were
in
singers.
they were in this public spotlight and they were
Okay.
trying to expose a pedophile ring. Both
Yeah.
of them, they were best friends. Those two knew each other exclusively. Like they hung out in their free time, and they were both working on busting a pedophile ring because. Correct my memory in the comments if I'm wrong, but I believe Chester Bennington was a victim of child
He was. So a
abuse.
lot of his songs, if you
Yeah,
listen
if you
to
listen
Linkin,
to the
yeah.
songs, it's gross, dude. Like once you figure that out,
I think
you're
it was
like,
his stepfather or something
fuck.
like that.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
is
so
like
he
his
was
father or
very
his
hell
father.
bent against that, and that's one of the reasons they
Well,
say why he took his life is just
Crawling in my skin. Like
Yeah.
all his
Yeah.
songs are about like
Mhm.
dealing with that. Like he
that
wrote the lyrics to that
psychosis
stuff.
of having to deal with that as a child.
He actually started a second band too. That's a little out there for the music. Like they didn't want to play with their Linkin Park music, but he had a second band. And it was a little like deep like that too.
Very
It was-
cool. I
Yeah.
did not know that. I'd like to. What do you
Yeah,
know
what-
the name of it?
do you
I
know the
forget
name?
that.
Yeah,
I can
I
get
know
the
that.
name for you.
I'll have to
that'd be
check it
dope.
out.
It's
yeah.
easy to find. You just search it. His other material. It's easy to find. But he actually had a second one. They didn't want to play with the Linkin Park stuff because it didn't really mesh with what
Didn't
they had.
jive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they just started a different band.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So number 2, substances which increase the efficiency of mentation and perception. So,
I don't know.
Maybe they hit the bingo on LSD with that one. I know microdosing certain psychedelics, especially like LSD, they can. That's popular in Silicon Valley and stuff like that. Wall Street, these high neuro efficiency jobs where you have to be on your toes constantly, and then microdosing psychedelics is pretty popular. Opens up your mind to different levels of thinking without actually tripping. Number 3, materials which will prevent or counteract the intoxicating effect of alcohol, which I do know one person talked about that on Joe Rogan's podcast. I think it was glutathione.
Is it the guy's name?
No,
Or no, that was the.
that was the substance. It's a substance that this guy is taking now. I think he said that you can take glutathione and it helps prevent hangovers and stuff.
It's
Huh.
crazy.
So
I heard
he was
cocaine does that too.
he was in a band called Dead by Sunrise.
Dead by
Really?
Sunrise?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We gotta definitely check that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, number 4, materials which will promote the intoxicating effects of alcohol. So something that's going to synergize
Amplify,
with alcohol.
yeah.
It's gonna
and
fucking amplify it,
yeah.
Yeah.
Which could be useful. You know, you can have somebody
Give
over
somebody
for
one
dinner.
drink and they're fucked
Yeah,
up.
exactly. Have somebody over for dinner, one drink, and they get drunk and they don't remember what happened.
Like Rooflin.
There's a lot of stuff that's going on now with
Roofies.
the pedophile rings.
Why don't they call them flories? Because you end up on the floor.
Yeah, Rooflin. It could. I don't know when it came out. I mean, I don't know a lot about it, but it could be something that, because it's usually put in a drink.
Yep.
I wonder if there's a correlation. I'm gonna look up real quick while you read the next one. I'm gonna see how long it's been out.
5. Materials which will produce the signs and symptoms of recognized diseases in a reversible way so that they may be used for malingering.
Whoa, dude, that's fucking scary.
So
man.
like make it to where it can't be test positive, so they can pass it.
So you know what malingering? I had to look this definition up. So if you don't know what malingering means, it means like putting on a display in order to like get a profit. So like faking that you have cancer so that you can win a
dude.
lawsuit. So it looks like the physical effects of having this gnarly fucking disease, but then you win all this money in a lawsuit, and now it's reversible. You don't have that disease anymore, and you scoot your happy ass off to your private fucking island.
That's crazy ass shit.
So that's a possibility that I just came up with inside my head.
Biochemical warfare is just fucking nuts.
Number 6. Materials which will render the induction of hypnosis easier or otherwise enhance its usefulness. Which we all know
is
how beneficial that could be. So.
if you're trying to manipulate or control somebody.
Exactly.
Or to even
That's
have
kind
that
of-
catchword, what's it called, like a trigger word?
Yeah. Well, have you ever watched what's that movie? Fucking, god damn it! It was where the black guy goes up to the white family and the fucking mom's a hypnosis and she hypnotizes them.
The Get Out? Or
Yeah,
something
Get
like
Out. That's
that.
what it was.
I
And
never
she's
got
always
to
like,
see that. Was it good?
yes,
Okay,
and she's
I need to check that one out.
and she's got that the little spoon on top of the thing, whoosh, 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 and that's what puts them into the hypnosis. Pretty sick.
So, real quick, on Rooflin, Swiss pharma company
Sandoz?
Hoffmann Lee Roch first described and developed, its actually name is not roofie, it's benzodiazepines in 1950s.
Benzodiazepine?
Yes,
Okay.
in 1950s, but is modified.
There's lots of different benzos, though.
Yeah, to benzodiazepine structure, and introduced a number of tranquilizers in 1960s and 70s.
Sounds about right.
Dope.
Up to 75.
Considering MK Ultra was exposed to start in 53. So
Yeah, so 50s and on. Effects of Rooflin.
that's what I'm saying. This whole everything's connected. The government's black ops operations with pharmaceutical stuff.
Well, that'd
ends
be
up
right after
turning
World War
into
II.
Real pharmaceutical stuff.
So the Swiss, I mean, they were more of a neutral area, but I mean, that's World War II
Yeah,
time
but look
frame.
at what the Swiss are very, very good at.
Making cheese,
No. What are the Swiss known in the modern world? What are they known for?
Oh god.
skiing, and
Banking.
Swiss banking.
They
Yeah,
launder.
that's exactly what I was gonna
They
say.
launder fucking billions of dollars through their banking system
Yeah,
because they don't have extradition laws.
yeah, that's what I meant to
Oh,
say.
that's cool.
So,
I meant like as far as extradition.
just so you know.
Not like laundering money. That's not cool.
Well, laundering money. You know what laundering money actually is?
I just like listening.
It's using dirty money in to like invest in
Yeah.
legit businesses.
Well, did you ever watch Breaking Bad?
Breaking Bad. Yeah.
No.
Okay, so that was the perfect example of laundering money.
There's-
Homeboy was cooking meth, taking the profits from making meth, had a front business that was a car wash. So that's a cash business.
It was the
You
same-
can take in cash.
It was the same
You got to
thing
have a
with the
successful
Ozarks.
ass business, but that's quintessential base level money laundering.
Oh,
the
okay.
Swiss are way up at digital level. They're taking in fucking wires and that whole offshore banking accounts.
Oh,
and
okay, yeah.
You're
tax
missing good shows
loopholes
and
and
movies,
fucking
bro.
yeah. Breaking Bad's pretty fucking legit.
I
'cause
watched,
it's
like,
a
2
very
episodes,
smart
3
show.
episodes. I was like,
Yeah,
eh.
but it's a smart show.
It's
Yeah.
not my cup of tea.
I know. Yeah,
Have you seen The
pretty
Ozarks? That was
fucked
pretty
up.
good.
Mm-mm.
The Ozarks. It's on Netflix.
Okay, number 7. Substances which will enhance the ability of individuals to withstand privation, torture, and coercion during interrogation and so-called brainwashing.
So nerve
So
killing
they-
stuff, or
They
like
wanted
adrenaline.
They wanted to withstand. They wanted their people to be able to withstand the kind of shit that they were putting down on others.
I believe adrenaline does all that stuff.
Okay, so fun fact.
Adrenaline, you said?
Adrenaline.
EpiPens.
EpiPens, yeah.
Did you read the latest article about EpiPens and adrenaline? There was an
Fill me
article
in.
that went out. I'd have to find it. I'd really have to dig for it. But a full-on medical disclosure, whatever, saying that you have to return your EpiPens because for whatever reason, after their expiration date or after a certain level of breakdown, the epinephrine turns into adrenochrome. And have you ever heard of adrenochrome?
No.
Okay, so adrenochrome is a substance that was popularized in that movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas with Johnny Depp. Okay,
He hasn't
another
seen that
fucking
either.
drug-addled movie. It's fucking horrifying, but it was about it's a book written by Hunter S. Thompson, and it was basically kind of like an autobiography about his life, because Hunter S. Thompson was this fiction writer that just got up at 7 o'clock in the morning and did fucking 4 lines of cocaine, and then he drank a fucking fifth of vodka, and then like slammed a fucking dose of heroin, and then that's how he got his morning started. Like, this dude was fucking hardcore to the edge. And so adrenochrome was this substance that was popularized in there, and it was really hard to get a hold of, blah blah blah. Now it's in the mainstream, not mainstream, but the
What's it do to you?
the underground media, as in like it's being used in this occultish practice way, because it does really like weird stuff in the body, like gives you this supernatural energy. And you ever heard of walnut sauce? I'm talking about fucked up shit right now, dude.
Yeah,
We're on MK Ultra.
Could you give me
So
with those, what exactly though?
What, adrenochrome?
Like, what does it do to the body?
It's
Like, is it just
apparently
high?
manufactured in the pituitary gland, and it's when a person is under high stress. So it's a hormone. So the satanic cults allegedly put humans, usually children,
Yeah, usually children
in
and drink their
high
adrenaline.
torture situations, get the body
So it mimics
as
that.
stressed as fucking possible, gets all this substance pumping through their body. It's basically to keep the body alive.
And then they
it's,
drink their
it's
blood.
adrenaline that's past the point of being adrenaline.
So there's actually a
Then
term for
there's-
called excited delirium.
Yeah, so that's happening
In
the
law
body.
enforcement,
So
we have
once
to
you-
watch for that actually, because
It's
it
dangerous. It can
increases
kill
the
you.
physical strength. It increases the body's. Like,
Exactly.
you ever seen videos of like 10 officers on one guy, and then one guy's like
and it he's
just
handling
gets up.
it.
Yeah, that person's on the verge of death at that point.
Exactly.
An excited
that's
delirium.
The
Once
body pushing itself to the absolute edge.
yeah,
to
so
try and
it's prepping.
survive.
It's like the last stance before death. So it's basically like all out, just trying to hurry up and feed off. So like you hear about mothers lifting cars off their babies, or people
Yep.
ripping doors off of cars, and
Yep.
like a normal person couldn't do that. With excited delirium, the boost of all the stuff that's flowing through your body, that's exactly what it is.
Excessive floods of,
Dude, that's
of
nuts.
adrenaline.
It's actually we had so
It's actually
when-
pretty cool.
in my academy class we actually had to do we did videos and stuff to teach us what the signs were and how to look for it and how to prevent it.
Right.
Because if people get to that, by the time you get control of them, they're gonna die. You have like 2 to 3 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes.
Right. So here's a fucked up thing. Imagine getting a person to that point and then sacrificing them, draining their blood from their body,
And
and
then
then
drinking
consuming
it.
that blood, and then you get all those residual effects without having to put your
And this
body
is
through that
allegedly
stress.
what the,
This is allegedly what a lot of these
the cult-
occultish, human trafficking, child trafficking.
So it's just weird to hear
pedophilia.
cultish, like just because cultish, as you read the demonology
Yes.
stuff, is less about. It tells you about these groups, but like the Book of Satan and stuff is not about doing that
at
stuff.
all.
No.
Which
No.
is ironic because the torturing and stuff you hear is more man driven than religion driven.
Yeah,
but it's
under
tied to
this
religion.
False worship of idols
And deities,
and
yeah.
Yeah.
Satanism, and but it's not like there's different like sects, just like there's different types of Christianity. There's different types of Satanism.
Yeah, right.
The Anton LaVey Satanism
Yeah.
is the most widespread, well known. Like,
Yeah.
be a good person, don't fuck with people. Like, that's the well known Satanism. That is like they have the Book of Satan.
And you have the
But then there's
Luciferians.
There's
The-
different
yeah.
branches, and
The Order of Set.
further and further they spiral out, the darker and darker.
So
they
this is
get.
shit you should be talking about when we do the demons episodes.
Yeah.
All
See,
right.
I
I
haven't
do talk
studied
about that stuff, but, like-
demonology, but like I see all this.
Yeah, you
the
get it
stuff I
through
look
the-
into gets into the deep dark side of.
So this is stuff I want to hear
Humanity.
from you. Okay, so mental note.
Yeah, alright, cool.
Cool. Yeah, because
Cool.
that's
So,
interesting.
Yeah. So the whole walnut sauce part that I was talking about,
Uh-huh.
that is basically adrenochrome in its purest form because it's coming from a fetus, and that is the fluid that is surrounding the brain. The brain is shaped like a walnut. Yeah. So
Okay.
like Planned Parenthood, this is the hard shit to talk about, but like the Planned Parenthood, I think they do good things for people. I think they do good things for society. But if you
Help
really
people
look
birth
at the
control,
numbers,
yeah.
if you really look at the numbers of abortions that happen in this country, like it's staggering. There's more African American, Black, whatever you want to call it, children aborted in this country than there are born.
Yeah, I think
So, yeah.
so like I remember looking at statistics on that and it's like 75,000
Jesus Christ.
yeah, like a year.
We're getting to the point to where there's a whole generation that's been
Just
aborted.
Gone. Holy
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, so I know it's like somewhere around
it's like-
75 to a million.
Yeah.
Somebody's
Abortions
like,
are
"Oh, it's
really-
low numbers." I'm like,
It's
It's
How's
not.
that low
hold
numbers?
on. Well, they're mistaking low percentages for low numbers. So like, well, it's only like 5%. Okay, 5% of the whole populace is 750,000 babies, and they're like, well, it's still a low percent. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you're mistaking though. That's still a ton of fucking people.
Yeah. And the more you look into that
I got in fights about that.
industry, air quotes industry, the abortion
Online.
industry.
You got to drink.
Yeah. There's, you know, the selling of body parts. Planned Parenthood, certain locations
Yeah,
of Planned
black
Parenthood
market,
has
yeah.
been found selling body parts for
Well, there's actually I've seen videos
obscure purposes that they're not
of
supposed to.
doctors talking about it, like they used it
Kinda
for
disgusting.
stuff. But
Yeah.
they talk about it more for like the science, like the stem cell and.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I aborted them, so the baby, like, they're ours now. They didn't want them, so like we use them to help save lives of more people. Like that's
And
to
I
you, I'm a
agree with
monster.
that.
Well, they're like to you guys, we're monstrous, but somebody has to do it. It's like if medicine's gonna move forward, we just found this life saving
This
thing.
life
Like
force. Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's either we do it or we let more people die. you know?
Already being wasted. So.
It's a tragic waste of life. He's like, we're just trying to do the best we can with it.
Yeah. And I agree with that, but then you have evil people that take that
And do
that incentive to save life and
as a means.
bring those life-giving surgeries and treatments because of how much they cost to
Yeah.
people, that it funds that drive to
Regardless of the reason, yeah.
Exactly.
Distorted
And that's why you see
Hey,
all these like
human
so-
beings are fucking greedy.
Well, here-
man.
you
Well,
bring in
remember-
all the celebrities and stuff, and that's why like none of them appear to fucking age. Yet,
Well,
man.
remember this greed, though. Greed is it's instinctive from our ancestors.
Survival.
It's survival. It's a survival. So everybody's like greed is
But
bad. It's like,
taking it to that level.
well, I mean, it was natural selection says that everybody's gonna be born just a little different. You know, if we're all born the same, like kind of like the banana plant, like one strand kills everything. We have to be different.
Yeah.
So like, so many of us people there will be people out there who are their genome just basically breeds success, and because if you're not gonna be greedy, you're not gonna be greedy, but I'm gonna be greedy. I'm gonna win it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But so some people just aren't taught that. Some people are taught that that's business. But I mean, that's a natural part of our evolutionary process is greed. Unfortunately, some people, you know,
I
As
don't
long
know
as the
if it
means-
is,
so-
though.
so
I don't
it-
know if it's natural or if it's a response.
psychology, they make us take a morals and ethics class, and it's I think I talked to you about it. That it kind of fucked me up a little bit. And morals and ethics too. If the means, it just depends if your means. So let's say you're just trying to make a bunch of money saving people. Your only intention is to save people, but it's saving people. Is it morally just?
Depends on your means.
I guess it depends on the person you're asking, really, because that's the whole thing about morals and ethics. Is it doesn't. There's no right answer. If you
There's
feel that
no right answer.
if you feel you're moral, you're just, then you're just, regardless of what you did. Even those people who are doing the sick stuff to the stuff you told me about today, because on Castbox you can listen to it. There's a I don't want to say documentary, but there's a podcast. It's pushing, like it's actually and it's about
getting
Jeff.
promoted.
Yeah.
I think Castbox. I think you were right. It's a Castbox episode or
Yeah.
something.
And there's a ton of people listening to it. Every time you log in, it'll pop up.
About Jeffrey Epstein.
About Jeffrey Epstein. Even those people who are doing terrible things, morally, they're not wrong. Societally, morally, they are. But like to them, if they can find justification, that's the problem. With morals and ethics is it. If you can sleep at night with it, you're morally not wrong. That's how they can sleep. That's how they can deal with it. Is
so
like,
fucking strange.
it's weird.
right?
Yeah, that's why I struggled in that class, because right and wrong is really just attributed to the individual more so than.
Yeah.
But that's where
why
we can
it's
find
so
the flaws.
Fucking hard to get along.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, and that's how it ties into the occult and the demon worshipping and fucking all that shit. Because look at what they do to society. That's not right. Fucking molesting little kids and then drinking their blood and shit. You just don't do that.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
got to be some kind of
Well, maybe they are being.
influence.
Maybe they. What if you
through
hypnotize?
demons.
You know, it's hypnotizing somebody, making them do that, and then showing them the video of them doing that. And it's like, we got you now. You know, I don't know the whole thing, but like it seems like MK Ultra, their whole premise was to control them for a reason. Whether it was to make them snap and kill people, or was it whether to control them long enough to be able to make them do things that.
Dude, there's a whole fucking. We're only on number 8. There's all kinds of shit that they were
Yeah, let's
looking to
keep
find
going.
out. To
And
happen with people.
sorry to keep interjecting,
No,
but it's
that's
just
good.
again, this
Yeah.
is me just trying to use my
broad
brain.
spectrum
Yeah.
stuff that's like, holy shit. Yeah, this is all in documentation. You
This-
can
this is what you're telling me. This is where it takes my brain.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm.
So remember, we're on number 8, but I want to say at the beginning or the end of this article, it gives you a link that you can go to the declassified document. You can click on it and you can go through the actual document and you can find where all this shit's written in there. Just to find that
a
this
reference.
stuff's written
Mhm.
by the U.S. government. This is what they were looking for. So number 8. Materials and physical methods which will produce amnesia for events preceding and during their use.
Oh, see, we were talking about that, how
Yeah.
none of the shooters
can't remember,
remembered
yeah.
doing anything.
And so just because we were talking about that, not on, maybe it was on,
It was on the
but
podcast.
it was on the podcast, but we were briefly went over that the shooters, of all the people that they keep bringing up where the shooters get caught, the ones who don't die,
Yeah.
they're like, they don't remember anything.
They
They're
don't
like,
remember
I wasn't
doing
there. Like, I
Their
wasn't
recollection
there.
is not good.
Amnesia.
They have fucked up memory, and they're 99% on psychotropic drugs.
Yep.
And so that's where that gets pigeonholed too. Is that
And
they're on that. That's
Psychotropic drugs is the
antidepressants, SSRIs, stuff like that. The Zolofts, the stuff that everybody pops every day that helps you think that you're functioning like a normal member of society.
So the first thing, actually, when I met my wife, she was on antidepressants and stuff like that. She got off of them, and it helped her so much.
To get off of them.
Yeah, she got off of them, and because she's like, I'm not with you, I'm not miserable anymore. And then she didn't eat them. She goes, I don't like how they made me feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be taking them in the first place.
I've taken
It's fucking
one
up.
in my life, and it was to try and help cure or correct my autoimmune disease, and it wasn't even for antidepressive reasons, but it sent me on a fucking spiral, dude. I can't imagine people taking that shit. And I was on low dose compared to what people take for depression. So, yeah.
You know what?
It's crazy.
And these people are taking multiples at a time.
So so like, I wonder. This is in context, but different topic. With kids and how they find out about giving kids Adderall. It's basically speed. How do they like when that come about? When those studies come about? Like,
I remember
because if
when
they're
I was a
getting-
kid, they used to give kids Adderall.
most likely during Nazi Germany, people like Joseph Mengele, they were doing meth on Nazi soldiers. You know, that was part of their training
Yeah, they had
regimen, and he did studies on children, especially twins. So he would do things to one twin and not the other, and find out what the effects were. That's what he's famous for.
Yeah, he did. some
That's-
fucked
He
up
did
shit, right?
fucked up shit.
Yeah, I
So
don't
there
know
was
about him.
it was a special camp that they would send twins to, some
It was
children
Auschwitz.
to.
It
Yeah,
was Auschwitz, which was the worst, allegedly.
they would if they
concentration
found
camp.
twins and stuff, they'd torture one, see if there's a
horrifying.
or torture both, but like leave one thing and like like they did a lot of crazy stuff just to see, just kind of like a crazy experiment.
They would
That's nuts.
they would splice them together. They'd try and stitch twins together
Oh,
to see if they
fuck,
could
dude.
survive off the
Yeah, I've
same
never heard
blood.
this.
And
Really?
Yeah, I've never heard that.
Bro, some of the shit it's
Yeah.
something you really don't want to hear about, like, because there's survivors of them that talk about like their
Yeah.
experiences and stuff.
It's
They just
horrifying.
they torture one to the point they kill it, and then the other twin would be like, you know,
Yeah.
they're like, well,
Yeah, they'd just gas the other one because the other one died unexpectedly. You know,
Due to
the
the
one
torture
couldn't
and
handle
stuff like
it,
that.
so it couldn't. And, you know, that
Yeah.
twin couldn't live, so they just gassed the other one because it was useless. No, they were
Yeah.
literal cattle. It was horrible. Number 9, physical methods of producing shock and confusion over extended periods of time and capable of surreptitious use.
that'd be miserable.
Yeah.
So like physical abuse, sexual abuse. all kinds of shit.
Shock, no. So like, have you ever gone into shock?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I can't say.
like you
well, I
start
don't know,
shivering, you start chattering.
maybe- Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So, like that kind of shock to the body, your body's in like a high stress environment, and it's basically shutting down.
Yeah, but they said it was through physical
Yeah,
methods,
it's
right?
a physical
Yeah,
method
so,
of
like-
Yeah.
reducing that.
So like when I got my tattoo, I sat for 14 hours and started going to shock. Well, I ripped off a toenail, but it just came up a little bit, so I grabbed a pair of pliers, ripped off a toenail, went to
Yeah.
shock.
Gross.
Broke my back. My knees, I used to sit there at nighttime. I blew both meniscuses at the same time in my back, and I'd lay there, and I'd just shiver all night long because I would refuse to take any pain meds. Like shock will kill you. Like a
Shut
tattoo
down your
artist,
kidneys,
a
shut down
tattoo
your
artist
liver,
has to stop doing it
give
because
you
you're
a
going into
heart
shock.
attack,
It'll
heart
kill you.
attack,
Yeah.
Heart attack.
That's crazy.
Number 10, substances which produce physical disablement, such as paralysis of the legs, acute anemia, etc. So, yeah, they wanted to give us drugs that would cause physical disability. Number 11, substances which will produce pure euphoria with no subsequent letdown.
So no crash.
Absolutely none.
Hmm.
How much more controlled could you have a population than people, mass amounts of people that are in pure bliss? You'd have nothing to complain about. You'd have nothing to worry about, nothing to fight about. If you could find a way to just give ample food, you don't even need plentiful food. You would just need ample food because it'd be like, I'm a little hungry. Okay, here's your ration for the day. Thank you. You know, just pure bliss, pure euphoria.
Honestly, out of all of them, that one sounds
The best.
the best. I mean, if you're looking at the least of
but
evils.
until you were aware of it, what if somebody at some point became aware of it?
I wonder if there's.
And then you just realize that everybody around you is a
That'd be an
fucking
interesting
cheat. That's
movie.
the fucking Matrix, dude. That's the Matrix.
But they don't live in bliss, though. The idea is it's just an illusion that you live in a computer simulated thing because we're being farmed.
Right.
But the idea behind like the community. Gosh, there's a show kind
They
of about
kind
it.
of made a movie about that.
Yeah,
I
but
thought it
like
was a video game.
I
thought it was a video game.
the skin. Everybody's black and white, and then like the color starts coming. Like people are all happy-go-lucky, and then like people's colors start coming out. Like
It's called We Happy Few. It's a video game. It's called We Happy Few.
I think there's a movie on it too, though.
There might be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like shot in black and white, and then like people start coming out in color. Like they're like, don't worry, it'll go away. It's like I don't want it to go
What
away.
the fuck?
Oh, you're talking about The Giver.
Maybe I don't know. I've never seen it.
There's a book.
No, it's a movie. I don't
Yeah,
read
there's
books.
There's a movie about it.
I don't
too.
even.
There's
So
multiple
the only
movies.
books I'll read: astronomy, history, and jiu-jitsu.
So The Giver was about a utopic society where people had all these defined roles. So you were a mother or a father, but your child was not your biological. So they had birth mothers, stuff like that. There was one person called the giver and then the receiver. The giver was usually an elder person in the society that held all the society's ancient memories. And those memories contained all the pain that the society's ever felt, all the wars, whatever. How that energy was ever transferred, how that knowledge was transferred, never really told. It's a fiction book. It's very interesting, but you have a giver that gives all that knowledge to a receiver. The receiver only comes around once every 40, 50 years or whatever, and then that knowledge is transferred. That's how that society is kept in utopia, because you have that one person that always remembers
it all.
how bad it used to be versus utopia. So, very cool movie. I have it at home. We'll watch it. It's very cool. But, yeah. So, pure euphoria. And like you said, I think that would probably be the least worrisome. Like, at least everybody's happy, but
Yeah.
just because you're in euphoria doesn't mean that your body's
Well, I'm not saying
taken
it's
care of.
quality life,
Yeah.
but if I was gonna be tortured over being given a pill that makes me just feel good all the time,
Happy,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, if I had to choose,
Yeah, but I don't think the body can sustain that. You're not meant to feel euphoria all the time. That's why you feel euphoria, because it's
Yeah.
meant to be an experience. You're meant to have baseline, and then you're meant.
it would
to have,
definitely numb you over time.
Yeah, exactly. When that becomes normal, then what? Then you have people seeking pain. Yeah, I think that's what they probably found out. If you give people drugs that put you in a euphoric
Just
state.
a curiosity, I wonder what they used, what kind of like medicine and or chemicals they used, and how much of it was in our food today.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Like on our
that's
agriculture,
good.
like
Sugar.
Yeah,
Sugar
sugars.
produces euphoria
Oh my
for
yeah.
sure.
God.
So like
Yeah.
sugars, corn, wheats, grains, milk, coffee.
Yeah, sugar.
The things people say
absolutely
I can't live
produces
without.
euphoria.
I can't live without this. Like as a kid, I remember growing up and being like,
Gotta have some chocolate. It's an
so
addiction.
here's the ones that really stand out to me. Sugar, okay. 1, 2 is bacon. 3 is coffee. 4 is
Bacon's
like
full of preservatives,
Bro,
nitrates.
I drink
and
coffee
nitrates.
every day.
these are the things people as a kid I would never touch. Like even in my teen and my younger like adult years, I would never touch it. Even to this day, like there's that stigma in my brain that's like everybody's addicted to this. I don't want this in me.
Caffeine's addictive too.
Yeah, well, caffeine is a stimulant, and stimulant is addictive for our brains. But I don't see that as the same because it's a molecule. But like on what's on our food, because you wash it off. So I actually bought this water purifier.
Mhm.
I had it for a while. Remember when I got over being sick, I
Yep.
started drinking cleaner water from this thing that broke it down into the pH balances. Well, there's one that you dipped your food in it, and it took all this like plastic film and stuff off. Like it did crazy thing to your food where the food even changed colors. Like it no longer looked the way it's supposed to look.
I wouldn't want to like.
And people, they say
Yeah.
they eat it like that. They're like, I feel different. Like I feel better.
It's because that's how you're supposed to eat.
Yeah. So
They
you're
put
washing
poison
all
all over that shit.
Well, this
But
whole
what-
this
how-
whole glyphosate thing that's going on with
the ripening fruit.
glyphosate Roundup. So you
Oh.
have the Roundup ready
The
GMO
poison,
crops. So the whole point of those GMO crops is so that they can take this overloading of the glyphosate insecticide and herbicide. It's really an herbicide. Is what it does. It kills other weeds, and so you can grow one crop and fucking nothing else. So they just spray it's mostly goes on soy and cotton is what glyphosate's used for. So soy, cotton, and corn.
Well, soy feeds a lot of our agriculture.
Yep. So, it's in our food. It's in everything. Basically, there isn't a man, woman, and child on Earth that doesn't test positive for glyphosate in some way. Even like the tribal peoples, because it's in the waters. No, it's in all the water. All of our water is in a constant cycle. So
Right.
yeah, it's in our water. It's in everything. So we'll probably deal with that for the next couple thousand years.
Well, at a certain point in time, it just become a part of our genetic
Exactly.
makeup.
Yeah, but right now
We'll mutate
but
adapt
right
to
now
it,
we're
yeah.
having a hard time adapting to it, and I think that's why a lot of these genetic diseases are popping up. You know, digestive diseases, celiac, fucking
Cancers.
IBS, cancers. Yeah. Well, if you fuck up your digestive system, you fuck up everything.
Well, not only
That's
that too.
your nutrition. That's your fuel for your body to operate. If your body can't absorb the right nutrients or nutrition, or if it's absorbing a really horrible toxin that blocks a lot of these passages and mechanisms in your body to work, calcium channels, ion channels, stuff like that,
Well, due to
it can disrupt
there's
a lot.
Our genome too is affected in two different ways. So A is mutation, so there's random chances of things happening due to the environment, and there's environmental mutations. That's just the stress of life. So, but for instance, if you have kids later on in life, they're most likely to be more successful because you have a more complete environmental set of genes you're passing on to your child than if you have one kind of young. So younger births are higher risk. But a lot of that stuff that our body gets introduced to, our body will start adapting to it because our humans, we're basically, in a sense, a plague that's meant to thrive in its environment.
Yeah,
It's added to our genome how to deal with it, and it's immediately a pass. So natural selection is a big thing. So that stuff is affecting our kids to this day and us to this day. If this stuff was introduced into the 60s and 70s and 80s when the hippies, like the hippie era, now we'd be the biggest generation affected.
Even DDT, do you remember that? That was a huge pesticide that was used back in the day, and then they found out it caused all kinds of nasty shit, you know?
Yeah.
So that was used for a decade or so. And then,
One of the most truest statements in the world: we are a product of our environment. Our parents made us into this, into the environment we are in.
Yeah.
Like just because of the food they ate, the cells started growing a different way.
Yeah.
Cancer started developing.
That's why you should all grow your own food in raised beds and use OMRI listed soil. So there you go.
Again, that Ryu is big in. If you haven't gone to the first episode yet or second episode where I introduced you and I introduced you.
Yeah.
So like by now, if you haven't seen that he is big into agriculture. He actually works in agriculture.
Yep. I believe full on in organic gardening, like beyond organic. Don't spray shit on your plants except for botanical oils.
And we talked about that too, so like go
peppermint
back
oil,
and check it
you
out.
know.
It's actually a pretty cool episode.
It's really fun science to learn, and the more you learn about it, the more it makes sense because you're just mimicking nature, and it's like, oh shit, that fucking
Yeah, we
happens
went over it in
already.
detail. I liked it.
Yep.
It's cool stuff. It's actually really cool stuff.
It's a lot of fun. So yeah, if you're dealing with any of these symptoms that we're talking about, and you think it might be
Maybe
from
try
your
to change
food
your food.
supply, check your food sources.
Well, and a lot of that. So something we talked about too could kill your gut bacteria. So
Absolutely.
you're actually supposed to have. There's good bacteria and bad bacteria, and some of the penicillins and some of the penicillin and some of the antibiotics
Yeah.
kill your good gut bacteria. So
Kill
as you get
everything,
older,
yeah.
as you get all bacteria.
All of it, yeah, it's broad spectrum.
Yep. So as you get older, you have less because you've been killing it off, or if you keep so like taking
Or you kill everything, and then the bad or the good guys aren't there to fend off the bad guys, and then the bad guys get established,
And
and
it
yeast gets
fucks you up.
established. Yeah,
So, what's the stuff you can take now? It's 10 billion parts per
it's probiotics.
probiotics. They help.
Yeah.
So maybe if you're having a lot of gut issues, a lot of stomach issues, I'd recommend getting into a probiotic, and it really can help. But like a high level probiotic.
The difference though is that you have to change what caused the problem in the first place. So if you do all these probiotics and stuff, they're gonna do great things until you stop taking them.
Or
And
start
then-
eating healthier.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The bad habits that you had before in your diet, you got to change it. Otherwise, shit won't change. Been there, done that. Fucking sucks, but you got to go through it. Change your diet. All right, number 12. Substances which alter personality structure in a way that the tendency of the recipient to become dependent upon another person is enhanced.
Oh my god.
There's another one that's coming up that like really fucking hit
Hold
me.
on,
and it's
read
like,
that one more time.
yeah, this one's kind of hard to get, but once you hear it. So, substances which alter personality structure
Okay.
in such a way that the tendency of the recipient of the substance to become dependent upon another person is enhanced.
So like Vicodin and Percocet.
Yeah, they take a drug and then they become dependent on another person. Not the drug itself, but they take this drug. Now that person that took the drug is becoming emotionally dependent
Huh, that's interesting.
on that person. Yeah. So.
Yeah, look at all these suicides when somebody leaves somebody.
Or attachment issues,
fucking-
like when, you know, a fucking psycho boyfriend goes nuts because his girlfriend left, and he's like, well, if I can't have you, nobody can, and fucking
Yeah,
ends
yep.
up being an axe murderer, you know? All kinds of weird shit like that happens. But it's just random enough that it's not, you can't tie
Well, see,
it to
okay,
anything.
so I have a question: does steroids itself play into that? Because look at if you want to bring up like the Chris Benoit situation, look how he went fucking.
Yeah, but
nuts
remember,
and
it says celebrities are mind controlled, so that's different. So
Well,
it's, so
I'm
I
not gonna
so
say all celebrities, but like,
well to
I'm
get this.
sure,
So
you know what I mean.
a steroid will affect your emotional state because you're taking your hormones and you're jacking them up to a whole new level. So Chris Benoit killed his wife, killed his kid, right? One kid.
I think it was 2.
Oh, okay, well anyway, and killed himself.
Yeah.
So here's the thing is, and in my past life, I actually have done steroids. I've taken SARMs, I've taken everything you can think of. My coaches were very encouraging that I did that in my younger, more competitive days. Now that I'm older, and it's not something I would like to talk about, but at the same point in time, like, it's education that I get to pass on.
Yeah.
I've
fuck
taken
with
some
your body when
hardcore
you're
shit.
young.
Yeah, some like Tretinool, which is like the hardest steroid you could take in the world, and everything from that to just some lighter stuff. It does make you emotionally unstable, but even when I was on it on my worst fucking day, I never had the inclination or urge to hurt anybody. You know, it's more like self-destruction where I was like, fuck, and I wanted to throw what I, like, you know, like I'd get mad and I'd hit a water bottle off the
But
desk.
that is
there was,
outward expression of anger.
yes.
Yeah.
There
Some
was,
of these other drugs were designed for inward destructive
Yeah, to go
behaviors.
nuts,
like
basically.
the fucking drug that I was on, the tricyclic antidepressant, that doxepin, that's how it was for
Well,
me.
they even
I didn't
tell
want to
you
hurt anybody else around me. I fucking hated myself. I
That-
was inside my own head, and it was just like black fucking goo up there.
that's
It
even the
was
side effect
horrible.
that they tell you. It's like, oh, suicidal thoughts
yeah.
and
Yeah.
tendencies on every one of them.
Yeah, so
Every one of them.
steroids never made me feel that way.
Fucking with your brain
Okay,
chemistry
actually,
can be bad.
I have a buddy who would take it and he would get that way because, like, what happens is your estrogen levels go through the fucking roof. So, like, this starts fucking with your head a little bit. Like, hey man, you need help. He came to me, he's like, you need to hold my guns because, like, I think I'm gonna hurt myself.
So I
It-
want to.
It does get there. Like, it can get in your head like that, but your hormones just being off will fuck with you like that.
Yeah.
I want to point out another thing. Just being in the cannabis industry and having to deal with patients on a day-to-day basis and seeing how they affect people, every single person's biology is a little bit different.
That's
All
natural
these
selection.
substances are going to affect people a little bit different.
Mhm.
There's no way to say that person and that person are feeling the exact same thing unless they're genetic identical copies, which I guess may be twins, but even then I think there's enough difference in your
It would be
biology.
different.
Again,
The-
you get mutations
Yeah,
over time.
just from
So
your environment.
your
yeah.
RNA and your DNA, they actually splice and duplicate. So you have one strand, a cell has one strand of RNA and DNA.
Yep.
And it splices in half and it creates two. So it creates two ladders essentially when the cell divides. So it's a one ladder that gets spliced by this thing that comes through it and your RNA, DNA, and it makes copies. So there's mutations in that. So even from birth, twins after birth,
They change.
they change. They
They're
start
different.
changing because the environment changes them, their body, and then there's mutations in your genome too as it starts to splice. It makes mistakes.
Yeah.
So even though twins are very identical, they're very different.
Yeah.
And from environmental to just natural like things your body just makes accidental copies on.
Yep.
So it will affect everybody different.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the
Every
person.
single person's
So,
biology
but
is different.
As somebody who has taken that, I never wanted to hurt my wife. Never like, but I was short tempered.
Uh-huh.
So like if you said something to me, I'd be like, go fuck yourself, and then go back to what I was doing. Like there was a short fuse there, but it was never like, and that we're talking like the hardest stuff you can take
Yeah.
on the market. But I never wanted to hurt nobody. Never wanted to do anything bad to nobody. Never wanted, like, there was times where like, man, this stuff is fucking me up in the head a little bit, but never. Like so I don't
okay,
think
so
it's an
then-
association.
So
I don't see it.
We'll
So
have
what
to
if-
check and see if he was on anything else besides that. Then
Probably antidepressants
yeah,
because
he would have to.
that
have been,
industry's rough, man. If you really do like talk to people who do it, like it's hard on the marriages, it's hard on the family, it's hard. So I mean, I can imagine maybe he's on something like that.
Yep.
You've traveled, you know and especially if you even if you love your job, it's hard to be away.
Yeah.
You know, it starts fucking with you.
All right, number 13. A material which will cause mental confusion of such a type that the individual under its influence will find it difficult to maintain a fabrication under questioning.
So it just keeps their brain fucking
Just
off the loop.
scrambled.
Yep.
Yep.
Can't
no
focus even
no
if you wanted
rational
to.
thought at all, just fucking all over the place.
Number 14. Substances which will lower the ambition and general working efficiency of men when administered in undetectable amounts. What does that sound like today?
The Generation
The
X.
soy
Dude,
boys.
soy boys, yeah.
Soy boys.
He doesn't know what that is.
All the effeminate men, you know, the millennial generation, the dudes that are like
Generation X.
Well, I mean, it's not even a generational thing. It's just
Well,
just
I mean,
see
that's the new
certain-
generation. We are the millennials. Our generation's okay.
Yeah. Well, we're the end of the millennials. We're like the oldest millennials.
Yeah, we're the oldest, but
Yeah.
at the same point in time, that's Generation X.
Yeah.
That's
So
the new
it's the
generation
soy
where they're
boys,
like they're
really
dressing in
soft,
girl
like-
pants and
Yeah, they have no functional knowledge of the world. They're really good on a computer, and that's about it. Like they don't have physical. Like there's no. They're not good at the physical realm, and that's from lower testosterone. That's from elevated estrogen. You know, soy boys.
a lot of our food. I say I never heard it referred to that. That's that.
Yeah.
A lot of our food nowadays actually
Is
increase.
shitloads of soy.
Well, soy and
There's
everything,
soy
so-
everywhere.
So I don't know if you guys know this or not. If you're listening, soy helps. It elevates estrogen levels. Men are not supposed to be eating soy. Children are not supposed to be eating soy. If you give soy to children, they will actually. Girls will start to
develop.
develop before they're supposed to.
Yep.
Boys will get more feminine.
And,
and-
delay puberty.
It's okay for women though. Women actually do okay with it, but it's not for men and children. It's not something you're supposed to give them because it affects you're elevating estrogen levels, and that really fucks with people.
Yeah, and there's a lot of soy in just about everything.
Yeah,
any kind of condiment.
every time I look at
any
stuff, I'm
kind
like, what's in it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
any kind of boxed good, anything that's in a package, there's probably fucking soy.
You know why,
if you're
right?
fucking poor, you're fucked.
Yeah, you know why there's soy in everything, right?
Because it's cheap.
Not so much because it's cheap. It's because for a lot of vegans and a lot of people who are, it's protein.
It's a
It's a high level of protein, and it mixes really well. Well, actually, so we give it to cattle because it's such an efficient form of protein. It's better than everything but meat.
Yeah, but when you add those phytoestrogens in with
Well,
it,
that's
it's
the
not
part
good.
they don't care about. So if we're
Right.
looking at a product based on macronutrients,
Yeah.
boom, it's everything you need and then
Exactly.
some.
But you got to go
But
look
if-
at the micronutrients.
Yeah, if you go like BCAAs, if you go to the branch chain or the chain amino acid chain, now you're talking a little bit different. Now we're
You're on
talking
the
the chemicals.
molecular
Yeah,
level.
the molecular level. That's when we're actually getting into. We're like, wait a minute, this isn't good. This is.
But
we
that's
do
how
with
your
everything.
body utilizes things
Mhm.
at the molecular level. It takes in whole foods and it breaks it down into fucking different molecules, and that's how it utilizes it.
You said we give it to
So-
cows as soy and milk then?
Yeah, it's a feed source.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, it is. So I mean, but it fattens them up. It's a large sum of protein. So the protein in it is why it's in everything. Because if you look at the protein content and there's
It's
no meat in
phenomenal.
it, if it ain't pea based and it ain't protein based like of a fat of like of an
Whey.
animal
Yeah.
or like a whey based,
Yeah.
which is milk, then it's soy based.
Yeah, but
So-
it should be hemp.
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely, but I mean, hemp in comparison is a lot more expensive than soy. Soy is such a massive.
Only because
like,
it's forbidden to be grown.
yeah, well, right now I'm at the federal level.
Not anymore. Farm bill went through.
Did it really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Their FDA, I believe, is signing, or the USDA is signing legislation now for acceptable levels, regulations, whatnot, to make hemp available on the market commercially.
Wow.
So it's gonna happen. Give it 5 years, hemp will be a normal American agricultural crop. Sucks it took to 2019 to
Such
fucking figure it out,
crazy-
but like,
Such
yeah.
a crazy time we lived in, man.
All right, number 14. Oh wait, no, that was number 14. Was the soy boys. Number 15. Substances which promote weakness or distortion of the eyesight or hearing faculties, preferably without permanent effects. So you want to
Temporary blindness,
disorient. Yep.
ears,
You want to disorient somebody for a few hours.
rob them of their senses.
Yep.
Which wouldn't be hard.
Put them in some pictures and they can't even see what the fuck's going on. You know. Put them in some weird
Well,
situation.
you start mixing these, you get a fucked up situation.
Yep. A nice little cocktail, and that
Yeah.
person would be gone. They'd have no
Can't
idea.
see, can't hear, or
And tell me
delusional,
you
or
can't think
dependent.
of 3 pharmaceuticals or 3 supplements that
Honestly,
could put
every-
somebody off their fucking rocker.
Every time you bring these up, my brain first goes to is like, damn, there's some pharmaceuticals out there that like
They just
that I can picture,
Yeah.
or drugs that.
and you already looked one up, and it fell right into the timeline.
So the biggest thing that always keeps coming to my mind is the synthetic weed, synthol or
The K2 spice.
the spices. Thank you,
Yeah,
the spices.
yeah.
People eat each other's face off, getting dependents, like
Yeah.
crazy shit. Like,
Yep.
like
Going into seizures, fucking horrible stuff. Yeah, because it's synthetic.
I wonder what kind of stuff they're putting in Florida,
Yeah.
Fuck.
because that's where all the stories come from.
All right, number 16. A knockout pill, which can surreptitiously be administered in drinks, food, cigarettes, as an aerosol, etc., which will be safe to use, provide a maximum of amnesia, and be suitable for use by agent types on an ad hoc basis.
Jesus Christ.
So, yeah.
So like the stuff you see in the movies where like
Yeah, 007 shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's really what they were looking for. I'm sure they found it. So, number 17.
okay, now 17 is a magical number because
Yeah.
of Q.
Yes.
If you know what Q is, well then you're
QAnon. Yeah.
You're a lot more further along than I am.
Where
in
we
all
go
this.
one, we go all, baby. So, yeah.
So
That's
let's
gonna be
so let's
hashtag.
let's hear 17 and then we can
Number
talk
17.
about Q.
All right. A material which can be surreptitiously administered by the above routes, which in very small amounts will make it impossible for a man to perform any physical activity whatsoever. Complete paralysis from any means necessary. Spray, drug, food, drink, cigarette, whatever. Complete paralysis. That could be useful as well.
Yeah, if you're gonna be going in homes attacking people.
Yeah.
We're setting shit up.
Yeah.
Just throw in one smoke bomb.
Everybody in the house, nobody's fighting.
Down.
So
Down for the count.
beforehand, they tried explaining what Q is. I first thought it was an evil concept. I was like,
No.
well, this doesn't make any sense. And then they brought up some people, and I didn't want to get too far into detail. I actually made them stop so we could talk about it now. So this is the opposite of the bad guys. This is supposed to be the people leaking the stuff, trying to kind of get information out, trying to like.
Yeah. So
So let's hear. Tell me about Q.
So that's
Q.
the end of our MK Ultra, but yeah, so this is kind of in the same vein because Q is allegedly trying to bring more transparency to our government.
Air quotes.
Air quotes. He has to drink again. Yeah. He's
But yeah, I believe the first Q post was in August, October, September of 2017, somewhere in there.
Oh, this was recent.
Yeah, this is a very recent thing.
Again, I don't know anything about it, so.
This is
Yeah,
started,
like you were saying, it was now.
This is starting with Donald Trump's administration. So like it's
So hearsay-
right up in there.
Hearsay says that that people think it is the Trump administration.
Well,
and
if you
Trump.
follow Q, a lot of the pictures that they post, a lot of the content that they're talking about, it's very, very close knit to the Trump administration. Like
Well, not
members
only that-
of his cabinet.
Like some of the stuff that Q will post, there'll be certain phrases in there that later, even at a time that was stamped on a Q post,
Yeah, in a
would be
video,
dropped would
in
be
a-
dropped on Donald Trump's Twitter at the same time, and he would use those certain phrases.
There's a lot of different proofs.
Yeah.
That is a lot of very direct correlation.
What's it called again?
QAnon.
QAnon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The QAnon movement, the Great Awakening, where we go one, we go all. You can hashtag all those and try and find shit on Q. It's being discredited in the mainstream media, which is probably why you thought it was a bad thing.
Yeah.
No, I
It's
thought it was a bad
turned-
thing because you were talking about it first.
Oh.
You're like,
Oh.
bro.
No, I've
It's
been-
like,
I've
oh,
been
fuck.
watching
Because we're
Q
talking
since
MK
it
Ultra, and I'm
started,
thinking
yeah.
some fucked up shit, and they're like,
Well, it's all the stuff that Q is exposing. All this bullshit that I'm talking about now with the deep occultist, deep state stuff, the
Yeah, the
pedophilia,
pedophile
the
stuff,
human
Epstein,
trafficking,
all
all
that.
this stuff, it's all Q.
Yeah.
Q releases this information, and that's how I dig about it, and that's how I find out more about it.
Yeah, there's a calendar that
There's-
correlates with all of his.
does it have
drops
future
and
stuff or
everything.
just like past stuff?
There's a
Current
little bit of
events
both.
or-
It's-
Everything, yeah.
It's kind of all over the place. But everything that is posted by Q, there's some. I haven't gotten to the point to where I'm in the decoding part of it because everything is in code. Everything is supposed to be in code. So like, if you learn the code and learn the comms, you can help decode. So the whole point of this QAnon movement is that it was, they call them autists. So these people called themselves autists, and they were the one that took Q's posts and found this code and translated these things and started finding the proofs.
So the code is like
Now-
coding?
No, like gematria, numerology, all the weird shit that he's into, fucking stuff like that. So like it's everything that's been used in military times for coding.
Yeah, and there's
stuff
always
like
links to
that. There's-
videos or pictures or fucking everything.
Like in relation to
yeah, in relation to what the codes are about.
Oh, okay, so they're trying to show like the validate what they're
Mhm.
getting, the message
Yes.
they're sending.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the whistleblowers.
Yep, that's basically it. These are the white hats within our own government because they know our government's corrupt and they know our government's trying to fuck the people and they know our government's trying to do this whole one world order, new world order shit. And they're like, no, America was founded on the principles of freedom. We lost it a long fucking time ago, and America's been about nothing but oppressing
Well,
people.
for instance,
And
George Washington was offered to be a king.
George Washington was, yeah, I'm not even
Well,
gonna go
so he didn't. So
No.
first off, he stood up against. So this is just what has been said.
He perpetuated a lot of the corporatology that he allegedly fought against.
Well, he was a
to
business owner,
form.
so I mean, don't get
Exactly.
me wrong. Anybody in power is going to make it easier on
Mhm.
themselves.
Exactly.
He released his slaves after he died. He fought England, but he basically told them to go fuck themselves. Where before he was close ties with them, he led the American people against him. He was offered the ability to be a king instead of just the president.
Mhm.
A king. They wanted him to be king, and he said no, he didn't want that. He thinks that people should be voted in, and it should be a reoccurring system. So like a lot of our values that are based on what America's supposed to stand for actually came from him. He was like the first man's man of
Yeah.
America.
I think there's a lot of the framers and the founding fathers that had good ideas and good ideals, but they were also a victim of their time. They knew that, their ideas were far advanced, but they had to set the groundwork for it. And so
You want to hear some fucked
couldn't-
up shit?
You couldn't, which is stupid to say, but I guess you couldn't abolish slavery at the foundation of the country. But
No.
like a lot of them
Well,
were slave
even the
owners,
Civil
and,
War
like,
wasn't built around
not about
slavery.
slavery. It
It
never
wasn't
was.
the freeing.
It
So
was-
what happened
no.
is
Lincoln didn't even care about freeing the slaves. If he
Well-
could have kept slavery intact and stopped the South from seceding, he would have done it.
well, what the biggest problem he was running into is he was losing the people when they want to fight the war no more. There's like they want to secede, let them secede.
Yeah.
So he made it about something bigger.
Mhm.
So what it did is like now this is a
It
just war.
caused divide.
Mhm.
It gave a reason.
Yeah, a rally and so that's why he
And
did that.
antagonism, yeah.
So-
and what did it spawn?
I do-
It spawned extremism. In
I
the
do wanna
form
talk
of the KKK and
A little
stuff
bit
like that.
about prior America too. Like, have you ever heard about the colonists? Like,
Pre-colonial America.
well, yeah. So, well, not pre-colonial, but colonial America before
Okay.
it was America. So, like, this was the Americas being colonized, and like they'd
Mhm.
show up, and like entire cities would be gone. Like the city would still be there, but everybody would be gone and dead.
Yeah.
Like they'd
Because
show up
of
to
a
read.
disease, famine.
Well,
or-
the disease we brought with us. The disease wasn't what killed a lot of people. Starvation is what killed a lot of
Mhm.
people. And then they would show up to like Jamestown or like cities.
But
like,
there was also diseases here that we didn't have immunities to. It didn't
actually,
just
the
work
Indians didn't
other
live with
way.
disease. They never found a single disease the Indians lived with.
That makes sense.
So, because they think about the foods they ate,
Yeah,
think
because it
about
was all
this.
natural. It was
Yeah,
all-
like
Oh, shit.
we brought it
We
with
fucked
us
that
because
up. We fucked everything
what.
up.
So a lot of that happened. So, like for instance, the bubonic plague spread like it did because
Yeah.
we had cities that were tight knit. They were not clean. They didn't have cities here. They were tight knit. They were not clean, and the Pope thought cats were a segue for evil, so he killed a lot of them. So the rats ran rampant.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was just people just being dumb and not knowing how the cleanliness is.
Superstition.
Yep. So it was because we started colonizing, like cities got so big that we brought a lot of that with us. Here they didn't have those things. So a lot of the people that died here died to starvation, A. But B was they keep bringing boats over, and there'd be cities like small settlements where everybody was gone.
Yeah.
Like there's some pretty, like I studied history in college. And I was like, damn, this is fucked up shit. Like it's like this is like some hardcore stuff where like where is everybody? They don't know, so they just resettle it.
The fuck?
Yeah, bro. Like the first settlers always came over. They don't know what happened to a lot of them.
Yeah, but Columbus and the hordes of people that came.
Well,
with
Columbus was different. I'm not talking.
No,
I'm talking
no,
settlers.
this
I'm
is-
not
yeah,
talking
but this is
adventurers.
Before that, but like Columbus when he came over.
Well,
like,
he didn't come to America. He went to Colombia. So he landed like he was down in Colombia and stuff like that.
But
So
the
he was doing.
pilgrimage from Europe after that. Once.
Well, once they heard there was
North
land
America
over here,
found,
people
it
started
was just
sailing
mass
across.
exodus,
Yeah.
Once that happened, the Native American populations were basically wiped out. I mean, there was at one point it was allegedly believed there was like over 3 million natives across the
Well, we
country.
tried to
and it's just
enslave
like,
them.
We wiped them out.
We didn't want we
No.
didn't want
It
African
didn't
Americans for
happen. Yeah.
enslavement. They actually wanted Native Americans, but Native Americans weren't as robust. They weren't as they struggled. A lot of them died because they struggled with the workload we tried putting on them.
Yeah.
And second, we had serfdoms too. So we had people who would
But they were
a rich
tougher
person would
fighters.
pay for people to come over, and you'd have to serve 7 years under them to earn your freedom. So we had those people. They had those slaves, and then they were trying to use Native Americans. They weren't robust enough, so someone came along and was like, "Hey, we have these guys if you want to use them." And a lot of blacks owned land and tried enslaving both Native Americans and other blacks. It's really interesting. Then history prior America is really interesting when we start colonizing because you see it kind of gives you this broad perspective of what the world was like at that time because people then all of a sudden it's like it all kind of started melding into America because you had France here, you had Spain here, you had
Well, the Manifest Destiny, that's what really took it off.
Yeah,
That's
so
what,
people started coming over.
this is like Americans just had this belief. It's like, hey, we have the duty to colonize.
Well, at the
And
time,
it's
it wasn't
like-
Americans. It was because you said at the
Manifest
time.
Destiny was an American idea.
Well, I know, but that was
like-
pushing. That was starting to
that was
push into
pushing
the
west.
country.
Yeah,
But
that
I'm
was
talking
pushing west.
prior to that, when
Yeah.
everybody started just coming over here just to colonize the area, because nobody else was here essentially.
Yeah.
You know, except for
the natives.
Indians at the time, as they call. I don't know. Now it's called Native Americans, or I don't even know if that's politically correct.
They're natives. Yeah.
Okay, Native to Americans. I don't know the Americas because America is North and South America. Everything's, you know, America, but it's actually the United States of Americas. So we are the United States, the 50 United
Well,
States.
Canada's North America.
It's North America,
and-
Mexico. The Americas is South America. So like for those of you who think, a lot of this is my favorite thing to use. Africa is a continent. It's not a country. So everybody's like, oh, the country, like you know, like it's a continent.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of different
Countries
countries in
to
those
some degree,
in
yeah.
that continent.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a little interesting fact because I love history.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but a lot of people are ignorant to that sort of thing.
yeah, so I mean, there's a piece of information for you. So Q is supposed to be a good thing. So that's actually the Q.
Yeah, so definitely
But that
check
was
that
the
one
thing,
out.
you know, is you know, our founding fathers had this great foundation to start with, and they wrote the Constitution, and of course it wasn't a perfect document, and that's why they allow amendments to it. But if you check through time, through history, the things that have taken place
Well, it's like they're trying to take it away now.
in our secret, you know, the stuff that it's like smoke and mirrors over here, look at this, while things were happening in our government.
Passing a
We've
bill that
slowly-
abolishes freedoms.
yeah,
Mhm.
We've slowly gotten rid of
So
what America
that's not a
used to
conspiracy.
be. No,
That's actually happening.
happened.
Yeah.
And ever since 1971, when we finally went off the gold standard, the American dollar has gone from 100% of its value. We have lost 98% of its purchasing power.
Well, like
Right
for
now,
instance, $10
right.
bills used to have a strip of silver in them.
Yeah.
Used to have a
They
strip
were
of silver
called
because they.
silver certificates
Yeah.
because they were worth their weight in silver. You could go to a federal bank and say, "Hey, I want my silver instead of this note," and they say, "Here's your silver,
I heard
sir.
that
Have a
Donald
nice
Trump's
day."
going to try to go back to that.
That's allegedly.
A lot of people
Yeah.
actually would prefer that because then it's based. I mean, it's going to make silver worth more, and gold worth more, and it gets us away from this
fiat
crypto.
currency. It's this
like this
weird
invisible.
Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, like the money's worth this piece of paper is worth X amount of money. And it's like,
Well, do you
there's
know-
nothing worth.
Do you know how fractional reserve banking works? Do you
It's
know
based on the gold, isn't it?
No. So the way it works now, our money, our currency is backed off of oil. It is backed off of our
Oh, that's
reserve of oil. It's no longer backed by any percent of gold whatsoever. The amount of gold that's held at the United States Federal Reserve, which is never federal or reserve or part of the United States, it's a privately held company. They have 0% of their reserves in gold. You know why? Because they can print as much fucking money as they want. They don't need gold because the money's not backed by gold anymore. It's backed by oil. That's why we go to war over oil now, because we have to keep our currency at the same value.
Well, it creates inflation too. When you
Well,
start doing that, you have
a
inflation.
fiat currency has to have inflation. That's how it works because it's based on debt. If there's no physical asset to base the currency off of, it has to be based on debt. So what has
An
happened over the
invisible
years?
type of money that you owe.
What has happened over the years is we've lost gold as the standard. So we've gone to more and more of a fractional reserve. So it started off, we were at a gold reserve or gold standard. And then we went to this fractional reserve banking, but we were still on the gold standard. So we went to, say, a quarter reserve. So say we had 1,000,000 bullion pounds of gold in the bank. At a quarter or at a full reserve, we can only lend out $1 million because, or 1,000,000, however
The
much,
worth of a
the
million.
worth of 1,000,000 pounds of gold. At a fractional reserve banking, you can lend out what you have 25% of. So like, I'm trying to explain it the right way. How many put this way?
So you can't do as
you
much.
have no. It sounds fractional, but you're actually quadrupling it. So if you have a fractional reserve system where you can bank on, if you can lend at a quarter of what your reserves are, then you have $1 million or 1,000,000 pounds of gold. You can lend out 4 million.
So it
in
amplifies.
money.
So basically,
Yeah.
what it does is
So what happens when somebody takes that $4 million loan, then they go and invest in another company. That company goes and gets another loan. It's always pulling debt out of fucking nowhere. It's always grabbing. It's a big fucking pyramid scheme, and it just keeps adding up and adding up and adding up, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until the inflation bursts. That's why our economy and that's why our stock market works on a boom and bust. It gets so high, you get all this inflation, and then you have a crash. And then it gets so high,
So
you have all
again-
this inflation, and then you have a crash.
We are straight logic, and
Ends
it's
up
all
anywhere.
yeah. But it still have to do with the government. I mean, it would so MK Ultra
If you look
essentially is the fucked up shit the government started doing to us,
Yeah.
the people. But and what people don't realize is that this is stuff that they actually tried to do, and then we're thinking what people naturally think is that they're still doing it to this day, or we're now seeing the effects of the
Yeah,
studies
they
they
definitely
found.
do it still to this
And
day.
we didn't even talk about yet the fucked up shit that they did versus
No, this is just
this
what
is
they
just
were
like
looking
what they
for.
were. Yeah, this is what they're
Yeah.
looking for. So we haven't even got into.
Like
we
the
might have
actual
to.
torturing processes were pretty
We're
horrific,
gonna have
and
to
I don't
make
know.
a
Yeah.
third episode on the torturing process steps.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't actually
And
think.
this is just one black program, dude. One program.
How many programs were there? Do we know?
A lot.
Thousands over
Really?
the years.
All
United
over the
States
all over.
government,
Yes. So that's right, because you said different cities, different college campuses. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so again, we're gonna have to do a third episode. Holy cow! I didn't think getting into this. So like we had the beginning of it, which kind of what it was. We have kind of what they were looking for, and final. I really do want to hear on what they did to people, like actual experiments that they actually did to people, not just the stuff they were giving them, but like I want to know what kind of fucked up shit they did.
Yeah.
The government, to who, like, do you have that kind
There's
of information?
survivors,
Yeah, they definitely have that information.
That's what I want. That's our next episode. That is
Okay.
for sure our next episode. I
Yeah.
want to know the truth.
They'll talk about everything they went through and the psychosis that they've dealt with and their split personality
Yes.
disorder.
That's
all
what I
that.
want.
Dude, all kinds of crazy
I want that.
shit.
So like Crazy House type stuff
Yeah.
before they actually got rid of the insane asylums.
Yeah.
So I want to hear like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's one. Two. We have September
So-
22nd coming around the corner. By the way,
There's an
where people are going to
interesting
try to
correlation.
storm.
It's
When-
the 20th, isn't it?
It's this Saturday.
Yeah, it's the 20th.
Today is the 19th. Tomorrow's the 20th. So if they're going on a Friday,
Well, I thought that was the
They started
September
showing up in
20th.
the desert today.
yeah, it's supposed to be in 3 days
Are you sure?
or 2 days.
I thought it was
I
the
don't know.
20th.
I thought it was the
I'm
22nd. Anyway,
Area 51
so
raid?
Sunday might be like if that shit hits like the wall and bad things happen. I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
So this might be something we come out with
It
again on
might
Thursday.
Get put off. Yeah.
Yeah, so
until then.
just keep in mind because that's going to be if people fucking show up and like die in numbers. I want to.
Oh yeah.
We might even do. I wonder if they're going to do updates on it because news people will be there and stuff like that. We might do a live episode where we talk currently what's going on if you guys are down.
Yeah.
You know, even if we do it from home or something like, because I really want to get that information out there as fast as we can for that one. So this might be put off till Thursday, but if you're following along this whole time, then we appreciate you coming in and listening. But
No,
that's
dude,
something
it's
I
tomorrow.
definitely
Look,
Oh man,
September 20th. Look, boom. Right there.
is it? Oh my god.
Road trip.
No.
Let's go.
Show us.
Let's go, dude.
Take the computer, set it up, be like, hey, we are
We're gonna
live.
do a
Dude,
live
that would be
show.
dope.
No way.
I already talked to the dudes from work. They'd go.
Let's do it.
No, this is natural selection. This is nature's taking its course. Okay. Like, if you're
Oh,
listening
man.
to this and you
I
plan,
hope shit pops off.
yeah, if you're planning, don't go.
You know
please,
shit's gonna pop off.
Please don't go.
You know
Get
you're gonna
nice
have
and
those
fucking
fucking
hammered
idiots.
drunk
Yeah.
and then go start knocking on doors.
Yeah, that's exactly what's gonna happen.
Fucking morons.
And if you watch any videos on YouTube, like just guys traveling around, they always have those guys in the fucking camouflage in the trucks.
Bro.
But you know what?
Roll up on with fucking
They've got every
M16s
right
and
to
shit.
do it because don't forget that the United States government is controlled by the people. Our taxpayers pay for all that shit. So that is our military.
Yeah, but
base.
classified information. If that stuff gets
Fuck
out,
classified information.
if that stuff gets out, man, they're making weapons of war. So Area 51 is actually supposed to be for aircraft.
Area 51 doesn't exist.
Well, it definitely
Expose it.
exists. Yeah. Well, anyway, the idea behind Area 51 is created for aircraft because
Yeah.
there's nobody around. They can test new radars like the
And that
anti-radar
desert's
detectors.
Yeah.
so fucking nuked already that it
Yeah.
doesn't even matter.
Well, that's
Fucking-
a little further out, but yes, absolutely. So the idea
Back
is
in the 90s, Bob Lazar blew that place wide the fuck open.
Yeah.
So
who did?
Bob Lazar.
He used to work there.
Oh, I didn't know. I never heard of him.
Yeah.
So, but the
So
idea.
we're gonna have to do a whole podcast on like
He
alien
talks about
bases and
aliens
UFO
shit that's
fucking
real.
military.
Oh, well, that area is maybe they deconstruct certain things and
He
build it.
allegedly, he allegedly worked on propulsion systems for
Oh,
yeah.
advanced aircraft.
Okay, so that makes sense. So like maybe they found an aircraft and they started deconstructing it. But we don't. The information they have there,
But
the
he
U.S.
said that-
government has the right to protect that information
Yeah,
from.
he's saying the stuff that he worked at wasn't technically Area 51. Area 51's a facade, and then the real base is down the road.
Well, they have
And
Area
then-
52, like what, 6 miles from there?
Yeah,
or some shit
that's
like
the
that?
one he actually
Yeah.
worked at, which is called S1 or something else.
Yeah.
And then he said the shit that they were working on was so advanced that it was unexplainable. Like, you'd touch it with instruments, and you couldn't. There was a physical barrier there that you couldn't feel or see.
Like a force field or
Yeah.
something. Like
Yeah.
yeah, and so if they have stuff, they would probably take it to something like that.
Mhm.
That's the kind of information, because like last time a
Fuck
country.
it. Nope. Let everybody know.
No, last time a country got that kind of information,
Hell
they
yeah,
fucking
they tried
took
to
over
take over the
Europe.
world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they destroyed Europe and
I know.
killed millions and millions and millions of people for fun. So I'll pass on that.
But you think it's good in the hands of the United States government with the shit that they
So-
pulled
so
off in
far-
the fan?
So
in the
every
past?
government, every single government is fucked up. But you have to understand, they're doing tests on our people. Every single government has done that,
Yep.
and every single government though, they like so. They would put people on an island, like in a what's that show you, that movie you like, the Hunger Games. They would Hunger Games people. They would like some of the stuff that
Yeah,
actually
that shit's legit.
like it's happened in Russia. They've killed entire cities. Like you don't understand. Like yeah, the U.S. is bad, but it's not that bad in comparison to what the world has done to themselves.
Yeah.
So like when you talk about a lot of this stuff, and so my brain goes, man, that's not good. Like oh, that's fucked up. Like this is bad. But history, when we go back to some of the places and things that happened back then, like this is still the freest and the most like
That's
open.
why I say mass knowledge.
Yeah, so like
That's why I say mass knowledge. Let
Our-
the masses know.
our objective, of course, is to want to educate you guys, to give you the ability to think for yourself and have a conversation. We're really big on your thoughts and ideas. If they conflict, that's especially when we want to hear from you. We want opposing points of view, so
yeah, if
we
you
can.
know something we don't know.
Or if you have information we didn't talk about, which people have brought up to me, but in person they're like, oh, did you know this, and this, and that's pretty cool. But the idea is we want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
The whole point of this is because we actually have conflicting ideas and concepts, but we want that conversation. But for me, so this is something that's conflicting for me and you.
Yeah.
Is that past like, yes, the U.S. is bad, and yes, some of the
Yeah.
things that happen is bad, but I've seen.
Just
I'm
from
history.
anti-government in every
Yeah.
sense of the word.
The
Just government, the
world.
word to govern. Like,
Yeah.
those are people that are seeking to control other people. That is what their job is. You know,
So
you can
but
try and justify it any way that
every
no, I'm out
single
to help
civilization,
people.
lawlessness
Yeah.
just doesn't work either too.
Yeah, fuck it. I want to
Well,
live, live in the forest.
live in peace, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that'd be good, but what if you have 50 people to move in there? There has to be a governing force with all those people to prevent you guys from doing stupid shit to each other.
Like I said, we need to stop fucking stifling violence in society. Do stupid shit, you're gonna get fucked up.
Yeah, but
Why do we need
who's
the
gonna
government?
dictate that though?
Why
Who's
do
gonna
we
be the
need the
person that
government?
does the fucked up thing?
Well,
Or what if that
we all
guy-
need to fucking regulate each other.
Yeah, well,
Gotta
once
live in
there,
groups.
then there has to be laws
Nah.
to prevent people. So you know what I mean? Like if you look back at once
Just
society,
natural law.
Dude,
Just natural
animals
law.
don't have
No,
laws, they just
do no
fucking-
harm.
yeah, but they kill each other. They eat each other.
Exactly
They
my
don't.
point.
They don't live. They don't live congregated. So like even the first city that we can go back to, like the Hammurabi time, it was just an eye for an eye. That's the best laws they can do, so people to prevent people from just doing fucked up stuff, because there's consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Once you take away the consequence, there will be those people who are born genetically different who will take it to an extreme without that consequence. The laws aren't really they're originally not there to govern everybody. What happens is it gets amplified because those bills get passed and this get passed. Like look at California, they're a runaway system of that.
Mhm.
But
Because it's always meant to go that way.
yeah,
'Cause
so
you
the
start
idea
out
is
here
it
and
starts
just
out
gets
with the
worse
basic law.
and
Well,
worse and worse.
these 5 people are fucking dumb, so they ruin it for the masses. There's a new law to prevent that.
Yeah.
Oh, these guys are dumb. There's a new law, and there's a new law. There's no. So
Yeah.
we need. It's either we need to find a way to deal with stupidity in general,
Yeah.
to prevent laws from being put in place, or they have to make a law for everything. For when stupid people do stupid stuff, they can punish those people.
Yeah, stop making stupid people.
Yeah, right. So
That's not gonna
it's a lot
happen.
of it. A lot of it's just ignorance and parenting, ignorance in general, and people just
Yeah, but it's,
Indoctrination
but it's
and
also a
everything.
function of our society.
absolutely.
MK
So
If
Ultra
people,
to the
if
max.
parents had
Mhm.
time to spend that 8 hours a day with their kid, instead
well,
of
even they
being
did.
at a
Look at the
job,
generation that came out of that.
They
They
can teach
started.
it
They were all
to them.
hippies, so there was a lot of mom and dads at home for that one, and they all came out hippies. So mom started working because of World War II. So
Yeah.
what happens? The dads went and fought war. When they came back, a lot of the women didn't want to be housewives anymore. So they decided that they wanted to work.
Yeah.
So that was it caused a lot of divorce, caused a lot of issues in the home. That some dads started staying home.
Yeah, but look at it back then. You only had one person that needed to work. Now you have like fucking 5 people in the home that need to
Well,
work. before
inflation,
you
and we
can-
talked about where inflation
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
from is
retarded.
but. And you mean that in the non-literal way because we're PC.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean absolutely. It's doesn't
It's
make
just
sense. It
it's
shouldn't
an
happen.
ever increasingly.
Absolutely.
That's it. And then so that plays into the MK Ultra. You got your parents that are away all the time, fucking working just to maintain a home to feed your kids, while your kids sitting at home
Now
being
your kids
indoctrinated
get
by the fucking
indoctrination
TV, the
'cause you're
fucking
absent.
school, dude.
So yeah, there's an issue in that area.
But that's where
that's not.
That's where I see it from a top-down view of design.
I don't see.
and
I don't think
control.
that's from government though.
I
That's
do.
the inflation.
Yeah.
The inflation of the dollar bill.
Yeah,
You think
absolutely.
the intent of inflation was get both parents out of the house?
The Federal Reserve sets inflation at 2% every
Yeah,
year.
because it's easier to
It's
control
like
somebody when they're
like,
always
yeah,
doing
we're
something.
gonna inflate the currency at 2% every year. That's what it's gonna be.
So for instance, a lot of your lower kids to schools, it actually enforces the kids to the schools more so to learn from the schools than their parents.
Yeah, but
It's
what
less
is a
to do
school? It's
Yeah, but
free state-run indoctrination.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the
Everything
whole
that
point
is in a
behind it
school
was
is regulated by the state.
Yeah,
not the
now look what
parents.
they're doing in the schools. Now they're having like drag
don't have a
queens coming in
choice.
and doing fucking.
That's not
like,
all schools though. You're talking.
I know. I'm
a
saying.
lot of those
I'm
are
saying,
private
but
schools.
yeah, but look what's happening now
Mhm.
is now the parents are away. They're bringing drag queens
What's
in. to
interesting
fucking-
is the worst part is it's in colleges. There's colleges out there that are actually like Berkeley.
Mhm.
Berkeley's one of those ones that like are just an extreme, like.
Just pushing boundaries just because they can.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Seems
and
like
then you can't
hard
even
seems
fight it
like
because you
that's
don't
how
even
it
know what's
is.
going on.
Left no, they're open about it. Like they're attacking teachers for lower grades and stuff like that. Like it's really fucked up. The Berkeley situation, like it's settling down now in like underground media stuff, but like
But that's an institution that used to be seen as the highest echelon of academia. Not necessarily
again-
Berkeley itself, but just universities.
But-
Yeah,
that
college.
was where you went to go get your highest education, and now it's being turned
shown
into
that
a mockery.
society requires laws.
Yeah.
It has to happen. There has to be. I mean, you can argue it all day long, but it has to have laws. So, but you have to have somebody govern it. Every single time, people will appoint a leader because if not, then it's just chaos. There has to be someone to be like, okay, we need to make sure people are dedicated to this. People are dedicated to this. And if you don't do something right, even in utopias, so like there's guys who out there, the socialistic utopias, where they say everybody just contributes to society. That's all we need. Well, what if the people don't work? What if nobody
But
works?
socialism is a massive state.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So I mean, but that's there are I don't want to say planned, but basically blueprints for like in different parts of the world where they keep trying to do this utopia. They call it a utopia, but it's a socialistic utopia where we all just contribute to the man and everybody gets an equal.
Yeah.
But if somebody doesn't do it, they even said like we have to have laws here too. Like there just has to be something that says that, and there has to be a governing force. So and you can't have all the people govern together. It just
But why
won't
can't
work
it
over
come
time
down to personal responsibility?
because people inherently can't handle that.
Then you don't survive.
Yeah, but then who's to say?
Why do we have to coddle? Why does society?
It's
have
not
to be
coddling. What if a
coddle?
guy breaks his leg and can't work?
So
you just
then he
let him
has his
die?
family unit to take care of him. But
Family-
his people, you have to have. You have
But there
to have
has to be-
community, but you don't have to have society.
Well, so again, remember, government. They do, even though they do a lot of fucked up stuff, they do good stuff too. So like they do stuff like they help people go through college for people like jobs. The world we live in, a degree means a lot.
Yeah, but you're seeing it from a different point of view. The whole point of school is to
Well,
teach somebody how to get a job.
Well, absolutely. I mean,
But why do we
for
need
a
a job?
society? Because we're not gatherers and hunters.
But maybe we should.
Yeah,
Our
but
diet's
how?
fucked. Because you need to teach people how to fucking grow a garden.
The world is
you need to eat your own food.
in your
because-
opinion, though.
Yeah. No, it's not an opinion. We're worried about global warming. So you have all this.
If every
shit
single
that you have
person-
all
so
these, hold on.
every single
you have
you-
these massive farms growing all this food for the whole country, and then you have to ship it out everywhere.
Right.
What happens if that person, instead of getting that head of lettuce from back east, just grows a fucking head of lettuce in their
There's
backyard?
not a farmable, sustainable land. And what
Yeah.
happens if
You can feed 7 people on a quarter acre, organically.
So you
That's
think
what I'm saying.
you think
The-
people should live in a
the
family
art
unit?
and the science of true organic agriculture, in order to be sustainable, is gone.
So
it's
we'd
lost
have to
on
go.
our
You
society.
know how far back humanity would have to go?
7 years, you can repair all the damage that's been done to our
No,
society.
I mean how far back humanity would have to go because all societies are based on the exact same thing. They're
Which
all
is
based
bullshit.
on
That's
us
why
going
all
to work.
societies
Well,
fail.
so
All societies fail. All of
medicine.
them
Who's
have
gonna
failed.
who's gonna help with medicine?
You don't need medicine.
You don't need medicine.
You don't need medicine. If you have a
There's-
healthy,
there's-
well-balanced diet from nutritionally dense whole foods, you don't need medicine.
That's actually not
No,
The
true.
there's
only
there's
diseases
so many-
that are out there that are unpreventable or uncurable are genetic diseases, and we
Yeah.
have technologies that are coming forward with that. You have CRISPR, you have.
Well, I
stuff
know, but
that.
like so.
But anything
in
rheumatoid
agriculture, there's
arthritis,
there's areas
anything
that doesn't grow
that's
like
all
some stuff doesn't grow in certain areas.
right. And that's what everybody has a problem with. I have to have bananas. No, you don't.
Well, I'm not talking about bananas. I'm talking
No.
about medicinal stuff too.
Okay.
You know,
but
like
you can have an herb garden.
Well,
I can grow about 30 to 40 different things
See,
that'll treat
this is
a wide variety.
an area
of
where we disagree
common
because this is based on for you. This is a
Right.
new concept that you're basing this on too. And I actually have wanted my own garden and stuff like that. I want to grow my own food.
Yeah.
But this is a new concept for you. I actually put a lot of thought into this before. You're now more into it than you've ever been prior to, right? Like this is since you started your new job. This is really a drastic.
Not really, no.
No.
I've been a part of agriculture since I was
Well, it's
about
good.
10 years
The
old.
the
4-H.
4-H stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I learned
But
about
now
agriculture
it's
then,
it's
I was
more of an
learning-
extreme idea, right? Like you're
Yeah.
like this is how people
Well,
should live.
I learned modern agriculture,
Mhm.
and it never worked. Like you can always see, you hear the degradation of the soil, and they're always trying to find ways to figure that
Right,
out.
the
That's a
rotating the
problem.
crops,
Yeah, that's-
7 years, the bad
yeah,
tilling,
and
they're
it's-
tilling,
and
they're
it's
doing all this
worse
stuff.
and worse and
And
worse.
I agree
yeah.
with you that we need more efficient ways to do that, but I don't
Yeah.
agree in the terms is that. So again, I think we need a governing force. I think the problem is people. So I think there's a few problems. I think people are just fucking okay with their complacency of society really bothers me. So like letting the government do what they do. Our job is to monitor and govern them. Our job is to govern the government so they can govern
Supposed
us.
to be, yeah.
So I believe in that kind of like
Responsibility.
and I don't think it was always bad. I think just recently it started running away. I think the people who've been in power lately are all working together in a conspiracy to really push it into a certain direction.
Mhm.
And I think somebody needs to step up and change that. But again, I think there's a lot of issues and they've done a really good job of kind of like keeping us clouded, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe in a whole restructuring of our society that it requires that. Because it works. Our society works. The problem is people in power are abusing the power. So I don't think we need to go back. I actually like the consumer society because I mean America's kind of found on that. That's we are consumers. So we've always been a consumer society. That's the premise of America is that you can come to this land, and we're not going to require you to work. That you can choose a job, you can choose where you work, and you can make a living doing that to support your family. Of course, now inflation and whether it's the government or whatever it is, but we've all had the exact same schooling of sorts, and we've all kind of fallen into our own niches.
Yeah.
You know, so we have the ability to choose that. We don't have to go and farm. You get to go in and make a different crop for the world to make a difference in what, you know, you get to contribute in a different way. It's not just about your family. It's about contributing to our society.
Mm-hmm. But my way of contribution is teaching people how to do it themselves.
Absolutely,
because
and that's
I believe in personal
but
responsibility.
if you didn't have the luxury, there, you know, like we wouldn't be able to do this. We'd be sleeping because in the morning we had to get up and till our own fields and take care of our family and.
Yeah,
Like-
but modern schools don't teach you any of that stuff now.
Well, absolutely,
like
because-
modern schools don't even like I know around here they don't have even home ec. Like
So
daughter's going on 15 years
But-
old doesn't even know how to cook.
you have to understand. Well, I didn't learn that until I was in it's high school that started really.
Yeah, but
like, home ec.
you see what I mean? They don't teach you basic life skills that you need to take care of yourself. They teach you all this bullshit just
How
to
to
push
get
you
a
through.
Well, again, look at
and
look
then,
at how the world's going though. We're getting away from there are farming communities out there. There are communities that actually do have that. Our schools might not, but if you look at our area, we're not really that big in agriculture. Just recently, they started growing different types of crops out here.
Mm-hmm.
It's more built toward techs because tech is the future. It really, whether you like it or not, they say tech actually is going to be the new oil. That technology is going to be where people are going to start investing in differently. The government's going to start investing in differently.
Most likely.
So, I mean,
Skynet.
we can't use our level of that'd be bad. We can't use our level of thinking to predict what's going to happen. All right.
yeah, but what technology are you going to
it's growing faster than
cook.
we are aging.
You know
So,
what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's bad, but that's again a consumer society. That's how I can own a business. If it wasn't for people paying with their money to let me own this place, this wouldn't exist. I would just be a farmer.
But imagine if you could do this without money.
Yeah, but that's different. So
So you
doing this
have
without
it.
money, well, who would pay for it then?
But if you didn't need to pay for it, if you owned it outright, and that's just what you did, that was your way to contribute to your society, to your community, and other people that came in here contributed in different ways.
Like they brought food.
Yeah.
So
Why
that
not?
again, that's
I'm your farmer.
again, that's
you
a
come in here and you
utopic.
teach me lessons. I bring you.
That's
your
a utopic
food.
mindset. So like
Yeah.
we're contributing to each other, but it's every single plan that when they look at it, like it fails over so much time. Because
Well, the
again,
society we're in now is fucking failing.
well, it's almost the same thing. So we're doing the exact same thing as you're paying with that hard-earned time that you've invested in food and into me, so I can buy food. That's the whole. I mean,
But I get to do it at home, and
I
don't
would.
have to spend
I'm
8
not
hours a day at
opposed.
somebody's
I'm not
house.
opposed to restructure. I want to find the structure that works in what we have. So like instead of we're going in an extreme direction where we're almost going socialist democrat. You know, the whole society started flipping one direction, so they're raising taxes to give to people who are fucking lazy.
Yeah.
I don't believe we should be like, well, if you can't figure it out, you're
Well,
gonna die.
PC, bro. PC.
Well, yeah, right. Well, I'm gonna go off the little charts right now. So if you can't figure it out, you're gonna die. I don't like that, like, because there's people who really are down on their lucks and they do try.
Yeah.
I believe we should help each other, so I'm not opposed to that. But at the same point in time, I don't think we should be so self-reliant that, you know, because that's not society. That's more hermit type thinking. Like it's like I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna live for
I'm
me.
not saying
Like,
everybody has to be a farmer, but
Well,
everybody's
absolutely,
got to find what they want to do.
so I agree about that. But in this society we live in, we have the ability to do that. I've talked to a lot of people from out of country. I've talked to a lot of people from around the world. I've had the opportunity to meet people from very, very poor countries, and a lot of them, like, their main focus that day is to get water.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it. That's their only main focus: get water, get food, and they're still killing each other off because of the mindset that everybody has to kind of take care of themselves. These guys who get weapons all of a sudden come through and kill everybody in their village or rape their women and behead people in the streets. Like, so far, humanity shows that we don't work like that. So we need to find one of the things. We need to re-educate how people operate, but that's not going to happen. You know, it's not going to happen in our lifetime. It might happen in the future if people, you know, if they really do find a way to soy boy all of humanity. Then, you know, then honestly, if you do that, if you find a way to get all of humans to kind of let go of their aggressive tendencies, because that's a trait. That's how we survived, is to build
the ego.
Yeah, absolutely. If you find a way,
the ego.
it might be possible, and we won't see it though. I don't think it's our lifetime type thing. It'll be maybe. I mean, maybe when we're older, but
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to be way with us because it's still in us.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody comes in your home, you're not gonna be like, "Oh, bro, take what you want." You're gonna be like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you," right? Would you not? If you found somebody out in your garden taking your food, if that's all you had, what would you do to him?
Oh, I don't know.
You'd
Try
murder
and
that
teach
motherfucker.
him. Nah, try and teach
If a
him
guy
lesson.
came in your home, would you be like, "Take what you need, man. I understand that you're hurting." You wouldn't even ask questions. You blow that fucker off this earth and let him answer his maker, whoever
in
the
this
fuck
day
it is.
and age right now, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's because that's how we think. Regardless of even if we were retrained, somebody came in my house, I would fucking go hands on immediately. I wouldn't ask questions, but like, you're in our house, motherfucker, bang bang choo choo. You know what I mean? Like, there's no thought process behind that because instinctively that's who we are. That's who we've grown up to be. Our guarantee, every one of our fathers or stepdads or some grandpa was like, someone comes to your home, don't fucking let them take anything. Like, there's a line like, this is your home, this is your temple, this is your house.
Yep.
You know, there has to be something that says that A, that you can do what you do, and B, that he is responsible. Now, that's his actions. You had no choice but to defend yourself. That's a society. We'd have to be away. Like, it has to be so drastic that our generation is gone because it would have to be a true building from the ground up. Because we will always teach that to our kids is like, hey, like, you don't let people touch you. You don't let people do this. Like, we immediately set these boundaries to say, like, no. Now, again, I'm not opposed to restructure, but I don't believe the utopia mindset is it. But I am not opposed to taking what we have and making it better.
Yeah.
You know, because I do believe if you wanted to farm, you should be allowed to. I don't think there should be regulations on collecting rainwater.
No.
I don't think there should be regulations on collecting sunlight. I don't think there should be regulations on all this other stupid shit because the consumer, the man with money, is making these laws that don't have no common sense. So I believe in common sense laws that allow people to be free without being controlled or like being manipulated or controlled because more people with money want more money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I would prefer that if I could find a way to make that happen. That would be more of a preference. But I don't think what we're doing is wrong. Like, at so point we have to restructure our whole thing because other countries keep doing that. And look at. I mean, again, let's look at south of Mexico. Completely all foobarred still down there.
Honduras,
No,
Ecuador.
no, but they're all still fucked up. What's the one that they went with China behind to back them up for their oil? And China kind of just...
Venezuela?
Venezuela.
Yeah.
Look at that country right now. We're actually looking at military-wise sending men down there to start offing people that are doing
they're
bad.
Also sitting on the largest oil reserve in the world.
Could be the richest
There
fucking...
it is.
Well, again,
That's what our
they were
currency
with
is
us.
based off of.
Yeah.
We're
So-
the world reserve currency. The
Well,
United States
we
dollar
used
is
to
the
back
world
them.
reserve currency.
We used to back. They
used
were,
to,
and they
until
pulled
like,
away.
Nah, fuck you guys.
And they
We
went to
don't want
China,
your
and look
shit.
what happened to their country.
Yeah. But now we're gonna step in and say, no, we're gonna.
Well, I
help.
mean, a lot of it too. They are attacking their own people. Like, their people are starving to death on the streets. The average weight loss per person is 40 pounds.
because of inflation.
Yeah,
Their
because
currency is shit.
Mhm.
Because they based it on oil. They got rid of their gold. They
Yeah.
got rid of their gold reserve, just like we did.
yeah,
They
it's
said,
terrible.
"Oh look, other governments were like, look at all this, big reserve of oil you're sitting on. Why don't you get with the system? Get with everybody on board. Don't worry about it.
Don't follow everyone.
Yeah, and so, like I said, I don't think a full restructure is necessary. I do think we need to make it better.
Yeah.
I think we need common sense laws, and I think a lot of the things we have in place aren't those.
No.
So
No, definitely not.
I think we need education of our rights.
Oh, before anything will change, people have to get rid of this outrage culture.
Yeah,
They gotta
definitely.
Get rid of their,
I don't know where the fuck that came from.
Yeah, it's ego. It's fucking ego. You gotta fucking.
Well, see, we're really big on letting ego go when we come in here because if you do, you get yourself killed or broken
it
off.
gets in the way.
But
It's so
I don't think it's ego. I think it's a lack of communication more so than an abundance of disagreeing. Because I've disagreed with both of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll even tell you, like, I don't like that. Like, no, this is what I think. However,
once you explain it,
you never got up and hit me. like, what'd you hit me for?
Well,
like,
maybe we should
was-
then.
That'd be
Yeah,
a bad
good luck
idea.
with that.
I wouldn't recommend doing that. So, but it's not based on disagreements aren't a bad thing. I think what's going on is the lack of communication is because of tablets and phones.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to create kind of like a tension. You don't know how to deal with that kind of conflict. I don't like what you have to say. Well, then you don't like me as a person.
That's why everybody's so triggered.
Yeah, like, because as a kid growing up,
Also,
if I didn't like what you had to say, I would have got hit in the face. Like, oh, I'm hitting you back, bro. Like, we dealt with it, then we talked about it.
Yeah, your feelings don't overcome somebody's rights. So.
Yeah, because you learned if you learn to be checking quick. When as kids, you've never been in a fight, right? Minus in here.
Yeah, but see, nowadays you can't even like say something
Yes,
that's like
common sense laws again. We need
Dude.
common sense laws. We don't need laws that says two kids get in a fight, they're both going to jail because they're 10 years old and they just settled their different. Like as a kid, we got put in check. You
Yeah,
saw the kids get their ass
plenty of
beat. This kid start mouthing off, boom, you get hit. Man, the first thing I said, my son, I have a boy, and he's kind of mouthy, and I was like, just wait, he'll get his ass kicked. He still hasn't. I don't know how he's an asshole. He's my oldest kid, and I'm like, man, this kid, he's gonna get checked because he thinks he's better than other people. I'm waiting for that day that kid come in and puts him in his place, and he'll get a rude awakening. He'll no longer be an asshole. He needs that. Nobody's been doing it. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with
bullies
this?
can run rampant.
Yeah, and that's why society's gotten so bad with bullies.
Well, again, he's never had somebody confront him on something.
Right.
So the first time he does, he's gonna struggle. Be like, you like he won't know how to process that because as kids we're taught because of socialization in schools like
That'll dissolve his ego, won't it?
Absolutely. So absolutely, and I'm not opposed to a lot of that stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's a good thing.
I don't believe in an extremist or a radical change. I think we just need to come together as people.
Yeah, see, I think it's going to take a radical change for that to happen. I think it's going to take.
It might take a radical event.
Yeah.
For proper change.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe this 20th thing. I mean, if a bunch of people die, if all of a sudden 1 million people die.
Well, it ain't going to be that many.
Yeah, well, I don't underestimate stupid.
Is that the point we started following?
Because it's so close to California.
Yeah, shit. Vegas.
Yeah, well, Vegas, they're a little more. I mean, everybody there's just kind of doing their thing. But California, all right, if you're from California listening to this, I'm sorry, but God, you guys need fucking common sense laws there. You guys need somebody to stop and be like, okay, all right, the government, you had your chance, get the fuck out of here.
Just getting a little out of control.
Yeah, you guys are just getting a little over.
You can't fucking tax everything.
No, Jesus Christ.
Oh.
Now you're just living to work.
Yeah.
At this point in time, when you're buying $1 million home. So we live pretty close to
the home
Cali.
that's like small as fuck too.
Well, they have the highest homeless. For like a home that's smaller than the room we're in.
Fucking retarded. You just go tiny home at that point. Like
Yeah, might as well.
And
Hey,
you go
still
off
gonna
the
pay $1
solar
million,
and rainwater.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it depends on who you go to.
California, you can't do that.
That's why you get
California, you
the
can't
fuck
collect
out of there.
rainwater. You can't collect
That's why
sunlight.
I don't go to California ever.
Yeah, this is a whole different. But they let the government have complete control.
Yep.
Nazi
And
Germany.
I don't believe in that. I believe that the people should have control over the government.
What'd you
We
say
need
was
weapons.
complete control?
Yes.
MK Ultra. There it
Yeah,
is.
I believe that the people should be armed. I believe that we should have the ability to overthrow the government, to reset
Oh,
it
you
to
mean
its
all
basis.
of our rights, basically all
Yes,
of our
I
rights.
do
We should
believe
have
it.
all of our rights.
Yes, as
I mean-
soon as they go for that, man, that's when I'm coming off.
Yeah.
Yep.
As soon as they start taking away our rights, our freedom of speech, which they're trying
They're
to,
trying
but
to
it's
do that
still
already.
the Supreme Courts are still backing that up. Our freedom to own weapons. Like as soon as they start attacking that stuff, like once they come for the guns, like that's my stand. Once you come from like,
That's the one that
it's
holds
because
all
it's the
rest of
only
them
thing that
together.
prevents my kids from having to suffer. So the people being armed, in my mind, is the one thing that keeps the government from going tyrannical. It's like because right now they're a bit extreme, and I do believe that. Again, I agree with you on some things, but like that's the one thing that keeps them on in their seats, being like, okay, like we can't like.
Yeah,
go
but they're getting
too far.
ballsier and ballsier.
Absolutely, and that's what I mean. Think about the things we're talking about, the people that are involved in the conversations we're having. I mean, this was a long time ago, but look at like in the Jeff Epstein
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, you got Hillary Clinton involved. You have fucking Clinton involved, Big Clinton. You have, I don't know if the Bushes were ever involved in it, but I mean they're not too bright. So, but they're Republican. I don't
He
know.
was involved in 9/11.
But we went to war for
Bush
oil. I mean, look
Sr.
at the
was
stupid
the
shit they're
director
doing.
of the CIA. You know that, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So,
And they were both in Skull and Bones.
yeah, I don't know too much about that.
You
You
know
guys
what
out
Skull
there?
and Bones
No, I
is?
kind of know what it is. A
Okay.
secret society for rich people,
Yeah,
but I don't know
yeah.
like the gist of it. But I mean, all these heads up, fucking these people being paid off by corporations go walking in making $175,000 a year, walking out making millions a year. Like the numbers aren't adding up.
Yep.
But so like, of course, I believe that there's some flaw, but I don't know. That's just my opinion, and that's I mean, but it's a very. I just don't like radical changes because, but you try to take the guns. So they say eventually, if we don't fight, our kids will have to.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to teach them the values to do it. But if it gets to the point to where it's between my generation fighting and our kids' generation fight, I'd rather be us. If we're gonna have to fucking suffer, let's let us
But
suffer for
look
them.
at the way that it's going now. They try to keep us so busy, always working, always paying for shit that we don't have time to teach them these things.
Yeah.
We don't have time to teach them to defend themselves, or because school tells you, oh, it's wrong, don't say anything,
Yeah.
get beat up, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like,
I
there's
told
a-
my daughter today
Connect
actually.
with your kids and defend your kids.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you're listening, man, it's not. So
It's fucking hard. It's not easy being a parent, but man, that's the two things you can really do is protect your kids and defend them. Like,
we'll
just,
teach them
yeah.
too. Teach them.
Teach
So
them.
I told all my kids, I'm like, somebody hits, don't even let somebody hit you. I'm like, you want to get in trouble, get in trouble. I'm like, we'll deal with it together. But
Yeah.
I'm like, you defend yourself. I'm like, there's zero. You have lines and boundaries. Don't let one person cross them.
Yep.
I was actually talking to my daughter about today. I mean, she's like, this girl is kind of being mean to me. I'm like, did she threaten you in any way? No, but I know if she does, like, it's it. Like, that's it. Cool. And people come in, actually, I own a martial arts gym, and they'll come and be like, my kid got in a fight today. I want you to reprimand him. Did they win? Like, what? Like, did they win? That's what I want to know. Like, why would you even ask that kind of question? Because if they have to fight, like, I teach walk 10 miles to avoid one, but if you're going to, fucking win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the whole point of training martial arts is that if you have to fight, that you're going to be able to protect yourself.
Yeah, you're ready.
Yeah, that you're ready. That the idea is that if it happens, because we don't want it to. I don't want my kids going out and fighting. I don't want your kids going out and fighting. I don't want your kids going out and fight. But if they're gonna fight, if they have to, and we taught them right, you taught them right, and I taught them right. They did I know they did everything they could to prevent it. And at this point in time, they had no choice but to defend
Like,
themselves.
to handle it. Yeah.
That's to me like, did they win? I don't like the way you have to sound like you brought them to the wrong school, bro. Because any school you take them as a martial arts school that doesn't let them fight, they don't know how to fight.
Yeah.
But again, the mindset of the people is a little different. I've actually had to talk to, just for disciplining, helping people discipline their kids, I had to talk to cops. Or my name's been brought up in CPS cases because they're like, you made the kids do a wall sit? Like, yeah, I made them do a wall sit. Why? Because they're being extremely bad for their parents, and the parents are trying to find alternative ways to.
It's a little bit of suffering that's actually good for them.
Yeah, I'm trying to help. We're trying to help the kids. We're not trying to this is
To show that there's consequences.
there's consequences for actions. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you won't let fucking Dick, Jane, and Harry hit the kid to teach it to himself. So like now our job as parents and coaches is to try to install those.
Teach that personal responsibility.
Absolutely, is to teach them those things that society's supposed to. So you guys are dropping the ball. We're just trying to take up the slack, parents. But I still have hope, man, because the reason is because even though all these things that we're talking about, the indoctrination of schools and stuff like that, I still see good kids come through the door.
Fuck
And I still
yeah.
see good parents come through the door.
Yep, every day.
Yeah, you've seen them, man. Like even people in this room, I'm gonna say whose kids when they come through the door, I'm just like, dang, these are some really good kids. Like I am almost proud to be the coach of these kids, and I'm just like, dang, like the world is okay. Like a lot of it is just I'm bombarded with the negative, and I just have to take a second, look around me, and it's like, you know what, we're okay.
You have to focus on the stuff that's important because you realize, over the long term that the moment, right now,
Yeah.
this is what fucking matters.
And
And so you can branch out, you can see, you can take in the view of the wider view of things, but you have to really focus on what's important.
no,
right
yeah, it's
in
like,
front of you.
and people are still doing good jobs. We just the media.
Everything's sensationalized. Everything's
Yeah,
extreme.
everything.
So we see all that stuff all the time. So
Yeah.
even though like the schools are a little fucking crazy right now and all this stuff going on, but I still see these good kids, man. It's like, okay,
Well, not
so
only that,
it's not as bad as it seems.
We
I just-
talk to them. We talk to the parents. We get to see them almost on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
So we're a big part of their life. We know what's going on at home because they talk to us about it. We know what's going on in school because they talk to us about it. So we have that whole, surrounding fucking thing with them that we know what's going on. We know ways that we can help them further into being a better person.
productive in society
Yeah.
because society needs productive
And especially-
people for society.
And especially in martial
To
arts, martial arts teaches you, like, if you do this, this is a consequence of doing this. If you don't listen, this is a consequence of doing this. Like, you have to
Talk shit to the wrong kid. He will beat you to the floor.
Yeah, like you don't go up and you don't call out higher belts. You don't go and
There's
celebrate
a hierarchy, respect.
Yeah. It goes. There's a chain of command, and that's the way that it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never.
See, I've always really liked
never
structure.
chaos.
I love structure. I need it. I need it in my life because structure gives me. I don't know. It knows where I stand. Like, because society, it is structure based. You know, like I don't like the whole, because I have doctors who are my students and stuff like that. But I don't need that kind of stuff. But progression based system. I don't really care about like going to work and collecting a paycheck like per se, like I do because I have to. But I have an area where I get to come to, and we are our own society in this gym. A lot of people don't realize we're our own like culture, we're our own society. Like we operate different than out there, and I really like that. Almost cultish if you ever been to a jiu-jitsu gym, But
it's so cool.
But it gives
cool.
You have a tight community, people who care for each other, and I like that.
Always willing to help each other out.
You're starting to see it too, right? You're starting to see like we're very close in a weird way. There's some bad apples that we had to cut, but over time it's only getting better with people like you coming in and sure. Like it's really falling.
It's a community.
Yeah, absolutely. So but there's a governing force in here. I have to make sure people don't do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me? I don't do stupid stuff.
You used to. You've come a long way, but I still
like 10 years ago.
But then I've had like the Brazilian come in here, and I have to make sure he doesn't too. So there has to be somebody standing up and be like, "Hey, like you guys are being fucking dumb. Stop." But there's a governing force helps that society. Otherwise, it would just run rampant. People just lose control.
Yeah.
But that all said, tomorrow on Sunday, I really do want to do the 20th, or maybe even Saturday. I don't know. It depends how bad it gets. If that shit gets fucking gnarly, we're coming on a Friday.
Yeah, we're gonna do it right then and there.
Yeah, we'll
just come in and fucking nail it.
Yeah, so if it's getting bad, we need an emergency podcast.
We'll be watching like live feeds and everything.
We'll do an emergency podcast situation, and we'll just we'll do it live, just like this. We'll have it set up, and we'll just do emergency podcast so you guys can join us. If it starts kicking off, look for us coming on here. That's tomorrow. That's really quick.
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
I need to check on some.
I'll be here anyways. So,
I need to check on some of my dumber friends. I'm gonna call and be like, "Hey, just so you know, this is dumb friend check on. Like, are you at home or where are you at right now?" Because some of them weren't here tonight. That said they wanted to go.
Oh fuck.
God, I hope
Hell
he's
yeah.
smart in it. Rage K.
Oh,
His dad said he wants to go. If he goes, I'm gonna beat his ass.
If he doesn't show up for the master's class on Saturday, we know.
You know.
We're gonna see him on the live video. You're like,
fucking wilding out and shit.
What I tell all my students, if you're gonna do stupid shit, don't wear my shirts. I've had to call people be like, "Bro, come on, really? You just did that in my shirt? Like, you have my school shirt on and you're doing stupid stuff, bro. Come on, you're posting on social media. Like, think for 2 fucking seconds."
I could confer that story.
Yeah, I've had to do it a few times. Funny. But again, and then we're gonna do the final episode. I want one more episode on this for the MK Ultra, and we'll let you guys. I want you guys to just go full bore. So I'm gonna release the chains and let you guys talk about whatever the fuck you want to talk about. You have an hour.
Dope.
Yeah, and I don't care how extreme it is, how nuts it is, how left side it is, how right side it is, how fucked up it is. I want the dirty truth.
I think here soon we should do like after we get past number 3 and like the Area 51, we should touch base on like the Bohemian Grove. Because that kind of, see, he likes that. Okay, so it kind of touch bases in the demonology stuff too, because the rituals and stuff that take on place.
Shit,
yeah. So like, I would love to get into that because I can explain.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great.
Well, and then
podcast.
Next Saturday I compete, and I'd like to talk about that a little bit too.
Yeah.
So
okay, that definitely
there's something to talk about. See how it goes. Because you said that's not bad stuff either.
No, it's not.
I don't want to bore people with it, but to me it's like.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't get it, especially the mindset and everything you have to.
Yeah, but it might get somebody to get it
beforehand when you.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, we'll talk about that too. So
if you get one guy to go join a gym somewhere, fuck it, it's worth it, right?
Yeah, or just try it. Just try it once if you're interested. Yep. But again, guys, we appreciate you. Anything you want to say before we go?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Long ass episode.
Yeah. Thanks for staying.
Yeah, glad you're still listening, right?
All right, we'll see you later.